Let me go live here. And we
Hey, I'm
live.
gonna turn my camera off for a minute, man. 'Cause I'm about to smash me up something real quick.
All right.
Get a little.
Welcome to Controversial and Deep Biblical Breakdown series sponsored by the Scorn Black Man Podcast. I'm your host, Zadok Israel. I have my co-host in here, Brother Don Yehuda, the good brother. And we have the special guest on, the brother Malachi MACABEE from Honor and Humility STL. If you haven't seen any of his videos, go to his channel, subscribe, watch the videos, hit the like button. The brother has some good information. And shalom, brother. Shalom, man.
Hey, shalom. Peace and blessings to the platform, brother. All praises to the Most High, the Creator. You dig? Good. Hey, good to be on here, brother. All praises.
Most definitely, man. It's an honor to have you on here, man. The brother Don Yehuda put me on you, man, a while back, man. I said, man, this brother got a lot of knowledge, man. I got to get him on the show, man, and let him bring it out, man. We have one hell of a topic for y'all tonight. Brother Don Yehuda, you doing pretty good, brother Don Yehuda?
Yeah, everything good. Shalom, brothers. Once again, it's an honor, brother, to have you on this platform. Drop them gems tonight.
All praises, brother. All praise to the Most High. Like I say, right on for having us on. You understand? It's controversial. I see it's controversial biblical breakdowns and all that. You know what I mean? You know, so I guess I'm considered somewhat controversial. You did clip up. It's all
clip
good.
up.
Yeah.
Controversial and deep biblical breakdown.
Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to my Nazarene scene, my faithist brothers and sisters, my Israelite brothers and sisters. You understand? Create a gang is the family, is the movement. All praises.
Con. And before we get started, man, y'all smash that subscribe button, smash the like button right now, share with family and friends and people like mine. We're finna take it to a higher level of learning tonight. And so tonight's lesson is the Apostle Paul writings on trial. Man, there's a lot of controversial, thoughts and biblical breakdowns about Paul. Is Paul writings hard to be understood? Was Paul some kind of secret agent for the Romans? Was Paul just throw the fuck off? Right. There's a bunch of controversial things around Paul. The good brother Malachi MACABEE is going to bring it out. And without further ado, I'm gonna step back and let the brother do his thing. Brother, the floor is yours.
Okay. So I ain't even know if brothers was just gonna be asking me some questions or whatever, but I can go into like a spiel if that's what you want me to do. That ain't no problem.
Oh yeah. Most definitely. Go on the spiel, man, and we'll get some questions and answers after. You know what I'm saying? We want you to basically I want you to cover now go ahead, brother Don Yehuda.
No, I was just gonna say before you go in the spiel, just for the audience that who may not know you, just give a little rundown who you are. Okay. You know how long you've been doing what you've been doing. You know, just your credentials, brother. Just break it down for them.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm your brother Malachi MACABEE. Nothing more, nothing less. I don't profess to be a 20th Shield general. I don't profess to be any type of prophet or apostle or any of that. Just your brother. My resume is 17 years in Israel teaching since 2005. I found out I was an Israelite in 2003, studied for 2 years and jumped off the porch head first. And there's been a lot of ups and downs, but hey, one thing is for sure, the Most High has never forsaken us. So, I like to give all praises and glory to the Most High for everything. Other than that, your regular brother, a husband, a father, a son, an uncle, a brother, cousins, great, all that. You understand? Like I say, it's an honor just to be here. But that's my resume basically. It's been in Israel teaching for 17 years consistently. If you go to the channel Honor Humility STL and just hit the videos or the playlist and just roll on back and you'll see. You know what I mean? The footwork been there from street teaching to classrooms to debates, all of it, all the music. You understand? All of it. So I've seen a lot in Israel, and I just want to praise the Most High and give him all the glory for sparing my life. You understand? It's an honor once again just to be able to come together and break bread, because we could be talking about anything right now. Anything evil. You understand? We coming together to feast spiritually. So that's an honor, and that's always a salute. We could be shooting at each other, fighting each other. You understand? We could be wasting our time playing each other on the game or something like that. But we're here to break bread, and for that, I salute the brothers. I salute the sisters that's in that spirit, that vibration. So that's basically it right there, bro.
Con. And brother, basically, I want you to, me personally, I'll let brother Daniel Huda what he wanted. I want you to, just give your thoughts about Paul's writings. Whether or not you think that the writings of the KJV is right. Whether you think Paul was off. Was he an agent? Was he this? Just give your, give a nice spiel upon Paul. I don't know if there's anything specific that brother Daniel Huda wants you to bring out. Brother Daniel Huda.
Yeah, so basically just to set it up, is Paul, is he who we think he is according to the scriptures, or have we been misled as to who the real Paul is? Because I've listened to some of your videos, and you was bringing out the deep information on Paul, and it seems to me like Paul might have been like a double agent or been playing both sides of the field. So what is Paul? Who is Paul? Like, what is his character? Was he really for Israel? Was he really for the Messiah? Or was he really for himself or for the Roman Empire? Like, do we know Paul?
Hey, you know what? That's an excellent question. The first thing to address dealing with Paul is we don't have a time machine. So the only thing we have is his writings or anything that can verify anything historical. You understand? So we can get into the works of different scholars and all that. That's cool. You dig? But we Israelites, right? We Israelites. You can come talking. You can come talking all the fancy soliloquies and you just being facetious and bro. If you can't go into the scripture and show me what you're talking about, no Israelite gonna take you serious.
Right.
No Israelite gonna take you serious. So I'm saying that to say this: we gonna go into what Paul says himself. We gonna go into the writings. You understand? And then once we understand that, then it's always time to do some deeper research, and you can dive into history, such as who had Roman citizenship during the first century. You understand? That's the information you need to know. You understand? You need to know the whole thing, the connection between the Herodians and the Hasmonean dynasty, and what happened, and how at the birth of Mashiach there was a Herodian sitting on the throne. You see what I'm saying? Like, you need to know the history, and a lot of our people deal with the Bible through a religious lens. Even though we claim we Israel, a lot of us still dealing with religiosity. You don't want to dig and touch something historically, because if you touch it historically, you may have to deal with it from a different, you may have to adjust your perception. You understand? And let's just keep it real, bro. We are what we believe. But we get comfortable in our beliefs. You understand? No, brother. So the best way to address anything about Paul, to keep it short, is let's just jump into him. You understand? Because trip off this. One thing's for sure. Two things for certain, right? If you solid in what you believe and stand on, one thing no real man gonna do is be name dropping. Like, I don't gotta. In other words, like this. In order for you, Hilltop 12 tribes, or you, Daniel Huda, to validate who you are as an Israelite, you don't gotta name drop Malachi Maccabee.
Right.
Whether I'm right or whether I'm off, you ain't even got to name drop me to validate who you are as a man. You see what I'm saying? So we're going to go deal with Paul. And another thing is this. A lot of our people don't understand the leadership that was left in place by Messiah himself. See, once you understand the leadership, the men who took control of the movement once he expired and once he raised up, you understand? That was a whole structure in place there. All right, he shall be called a Nazarene. This was a Nazarene movement. You see what I'm saying? So there was a structure there that a lot of people don't even know nothing about. Like his biological brother ran his movement after he died. His name is James the Just. History knows him as James the Just. He's in your KJV Bible too. You just never bring him up. And then when you tell most people, you know, Jesus had brothers and sisters, huh? I just told a brother of mine the other day, my brother Freddie, I was like, yeah, you know, James, the biological brother of Jesus, or Yahshua. He said, boy, Jesus got brothers. He couldn't even believe it. He couldn't even believe it. You understand? But James the Just, Yaakov HaZedek, for my Hebrew vibration brothers. That's Yahshua's biological brother. He had to run it. He was running it after him, after the Messiah. Then after him, another bloodline brother, Simeon Bar. After him, another bloodline brother. But see, you got to get into the history to know that. You understand? And if we're dealing with bloodline, we're dealing with what's called a caliphate. Leadership through bloodline, or the right to rule through bloodline. You understand? And once we understand that's what it is, and that's what Rome was afraid of. You understand? Once we understand 1 million of us died in that war between us and Rome, between 66 CE and 73 CE. 1 million of us dropped in that war. That was a messianic war. Once you understand what was really going on and the characters involved, then you can get into the deeper. You know, he may have been an agent. You understand? He may have been this. We can get into the theories, but let's get into the writings first. That's all I'm saying. You dig? So look, first I want to let's go to Acts 15. That's the Jerusalem Council. The council at Jerusalem. Let me hit a screen share real quick. They dig? But that's basically what it is. All right? But let's get into the writings first. That's how we are as Israelites. You already know.
Hey, how do I share your screen? Do I have to?
You're gonna see it pop up. You're gonna see it pop up at your bottom. Click on it for me.
I got you. Come on. Y'all in for a good lesson tonight.
You got me on there?
Yeah, can y'all see it?
Hey, one thing I would like to say though, that's what I like about Malachi, man. He ain't afraid to bring out that knowledge, and he ain't afraid to study some more knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Watching his videos, he's very, very adamant about get your study up, get your research up. You know what I'm saying? And the things he was bringing out in this video, like I knew Jesus had brothers, but I didn't know to the level of what James had or how he was leading the church when he's about to bring out, man. Very informative.
Can y'all bros hear me? Let's see.
Yes, sir.
Can I be heard?
Con, I can hear you.
Con, can you hear us?
I can be heard. All right.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can
you hear us?
Okay, yeah. All right, so you see right here what we got up on the screen, y'all, is the Jerusalem Council, the council at Jerusalem. All right. Now, what a lot of people don't understand, why Paul's letters are hard to be understood, they don't really understand the context in which they are written. All right. The main argument during the first century was about circumcision and dietary law. Circumcision and dietary law. You see what I'm saying? That's what it was about. So eventually, Paul had to come up to Jerusalem to check in with the council, with the Nazarene leadership. That's what he had to do. You understand? Because this is where the movement is headquartered out of. It's headquartered out of Jerusalem. So if you claim you teaching about James's brother, Peter and them master, then you got to come check in with them. They got to check your temperature to make sure what you teaching is accurate. That's what that's about. So finally, Barnabas persuades Paul, say, look, you ain't came checked in with the elder. You got to come check on in. All right. So that's what this is about in the beginning. Acts 15 is going into circumcision, but we're going to jump down. All right. We're going to get into the dietary or the food restrictions. All right. This is where it all started. All right. Remember, these are the leaders of the movement. All right. Paul is not the leader of this movement. All right. So we're going to start at verse 12. Acts 15 and 12. Then all the multitude kept silence and gave audience to Barnabas and Paul, declaring what miracles and wonders God had wrought among the Gentiles by them. All right, so everybody's listening to what Paul and Barnabas have to say. All right, verse 13, James's judgment. Understand this: anyone stands up and give a judgment, they are the one that is in charge. He's giving a judgment. All right, Acts 15 and 13. And after they had held their peace, James, this is the Messiah's brother, we're gonna go show it. And after they had held their peace, James answered, saying, men and brethren, hearken unto me. Simeon is another one for Peter. Simeon have declared how God at the first did visit the Gentiles to take out of them a people for his name. And to this agree the words of the prophets as it is written. So James, to validate what Peter is doing already among the Gentiles. Peter already out there. The disciples already out there amongst the Gentile nations, doing what they were commanded to do. Shedding light in that dark part of the world. So to validate what Peter or Simeon is doing, James, the brother of Messiah, goes to the prophet Amos. Amos 9, verse 11 and 12. And to this agree the words of the prophets as it is written. After this I will return and will build again the tabernacle of David, which is fallen down. And I will build again the ruins thereof, and I will set it up, that the residue of men might seek after the Lord, and all the Gentiles upon whom my name is called, saith the Lord, who doeth all these things. Known unto God are all his works from the beginning of the world. Remember, this is James talking still, the Messiah's brother. Wherefore my sentence is, this is his judgment. All right, they in Jerusalem in front of about 7,000 to 8,000 Nazarene devoted followers. Like, this ain't just a few of your homeboys. You know, it's like 7,000 to 8,000 people present. And James stands up and gives a judgment because James is in charge. Wherefore my sentence is that we trouble not them which from among the Gentiles are turned to God. So according to Acts 15, James stood up and said, don't trouble them, meaning don't put the burden of circumcision on them as of right now. You understand? That ain't necessary as of right now. Look at this, verse 20. But to write unto them that they abstain from pollutions of idols. All right? And from fornication. And from things strangled. And from blood. All right? So this right here is dietary law we talking here. If we talking blood and we talking things strangled, anybody know that's talking about flesh. It may be a certain way the flesh died, but we still talking about flesh there. Blood, strangled. We got fornication, which is physical and spiritual. But what is the pollutions of idols? Because he said, don't trouble them, but look, we writing unto them that they must abstain from pollutions of idols. And from fornication, and from things strangled, and from blood. All right, so Paul, since you out there teaching amongst the nations, this is what you teach. This is not, look, y'all, this is not advice. James is not giving Paul and Barnabas advice on what to teach. These are directives to the overseas communities who fall up under the vibration of the Creator, who follow the teachings of the Messiah, Yahshua, of Nazareth, the Nazarene. So for those in the overseas communities who profess that, these are the overseas directives. This is what Paul and Barnabas are supposed to be teaching. So the question is, did Paul teach it? Did he teach that? Now watch this. Let's jump down to give it more clarity. Verse 29. Watch this. Verse 29. James is still talking to Paul, that you abstain from meats or food offered to idols, and from blood, and from things strangled, and from fornication, from which if you keep yourselves, ye shall do well. Farewell. You see, so he had to go up to Jerusalem to receive letters of recommendation. You couldn't just be out here teaching just because you found out you was an Israelite. You had to get stamped valid by those who were in charge. James is the one that's in charge. All right, since you going out to teach, this is what you teach: to abstain from meats or foods offered to idols. This is not advice. This is a directive to the overseas communities, for them and for those teaching it. You see that? That you abstain from meats offered to idols, and from blood, and from things strangled, and from fornication, from which if you keep yourselves, ye shall do well. Farewell. Now, just to put this in context, right? It ain't no Old Testament. I mean, it ain't no New Testament at this time. In order for this Nazarene elder, the leader of Yahshua's movement, to make this judgment, this type of understanding had to been coming out of what we call the written Torah. So according to the written Torah, what is meats offered to idols? What is that according to the Torah? You see? So once we get into this understanding, what James, the leader, the Messiah's biological brother, the leader of the movement, commanded Paul, or gave directives to the overseas communities in which Paul was supposed to teach what he commanded him. The question is, did Paul teach that? And if he didn't teach that, is he teaching opposite of the apostles? Now remember, the apostles are who Yahshua himself ordained. Is Paul coming with a different message? That's the question. And if you find out he is coming with a different message, then you got a decision to make. Malachi, Macabee can't make that for you. Don Yehuda can't make that for you. Hilltop 12 tribes can't make that decision for you. You understand? Now remember, the leader and the leadership of Yahshua's movement is already set up. It's already being ran out of Jerusalem. All right. The chief bishop is his biological brother, James the Just. All right. So if, whatever Paul got going on must line up with the apostles. You ever ask yourself why we ain't got no writings of the apostles? What are they writings at? What's really going on here? Think about it. Now, watch this. We're going to go into meats offered to idols. You know, we can go into that, but first, let's go into Paul's letters. Remember, James gave him orders to teach, not advice. All right, let's go examine the meats offered to idols aspect. All right, this is dietary law. All right, this is what the whole argument is over. Dietary law and circumcision. All right, now, everybody listening, just bear witness to what they were talking about at the Jerusalem Council. Everybody. Now, let's go over to Galatians. Galatians, right? Paul wrote Galatians, didn't he? He supposedly wrote it. Let's go to Galatians. Galatians, the first chapter. Let's go. Before we can understand anything about Paul being a Herodian or a Roman spy or any of that, sent in to destroy the Nazarene movement, any of that, you got to understand what the scriptures say. Because Israel ain't going to hear you if you don't bring no scriptures. You got to bring the scriptures out. All right? Now, remember what I said. To validate yourself as an authentic Israelite, you don't need to name drop no other man. Remember that. But Paul got to a point where he had to defend what he was teaching. And you got to ask yourself why. Paul defends his ministry. Galatians 1 and 11. Let's go here first. Let's go here first. Ask yourself, why must he defend his ministry? He already went up to Jerusalem. He already received the letters of recommendation. He already been stamped valid by James. And this is what you're supposed to teach and live by. This right here. So why would he have to defend his ministry? Galatians 1 and 11. But I certify you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached of me is not after man. That's major right there. He telling you what he's teaching and preaching, he didn't learn from the apostles. He didn't learn from the disciples. What Paul is doing is making a separation between himself and who Yahshua ordained. He has to certify himself. But I certify you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached of me is not after man, for I neither received it of man, neither was I taught it, but by the revelation of Yahshua Messiah. Oh. So he's saying, I didn't have a vision. I didn't have a dream. I'm not here to tell you he did or he didn't. You understand? I'm not here to tell you to deny what you read. But off his own lips, you got to admit, hold on. He just said he didn't learn this from any man. Now, ask yourself this. What men would have been teaching about Yahshua HaMashiach, the Nazarene, during Paul's time? Who could he have learned about the Messiah from? Yeah, the apostles. The ones he gave authority to. The ones the fiery tongues got put on them. But remember, he's defending his ministry. So he's saying, look, I didn't learn from none of them. I didn't learn it from a man. This is purely revelation, right? Verse 13. For ye have heard of my conversation in time past in the Jews' religion. Mark that. Mark that. He uses the word religion, don't he? Mark that. In the Jews' religion, how that beyond measure I persecuted the church of the Most High and wasted it. And profited in the Jews' religion, there it is again, above many mine equals in mine own nation, being more exceedingly zealous of the traditions of my fathers. But when it pleased the Most High, who separated me from my mother's womb. Stop right there. To be separated means to be holy. To be holy from your mama's womb is Paul claiming to be a Nazarite. Because only Nazarites can claim holiness from their mama's womb. Samson, James, we'll get into some history later and show you James was a Nazarite. Is he claiming to be a Nazarite? Is this a subtle shot at the Nazarene leadership? Anyway, and called me by his grace to reveal his son in me, that I might preach him among the heathen. Immediately I conferred not with flesh and blood. So Paul telling you, I ain't go check in when I got my revelation. But my question is, why wouldn't you? And when you get into other histories and studies, like when you get into the Nazarene literature, you find out before Paul's conversion, he tried to kill James. He thought he was dead, actually. He threw him off the top steps in the temple. Started a riot, beat him down, thought he was dead. So here you claim you didn't have your revelation, and I ain't the one to say you didn't, but you had a revelation of James's brother, and you ain't gonna get that right? You ain't go to Jerusalem and beg this man for his forgiveness? He said he ain't conferred with flesh and blood, but his protocol in this. What you mean? We'll read the protocol later. Now, you supposed to check in. What you mean? Watch this, verse 17. Neither went I up to Jerusalem to them which were apostles before me. Look at this. Off his own mouth. What he teaching, he ain't get from the apostles. He ain't get from Jerusalem. But we just read he was at Jerusalem, right? He's saying what he teach ain't got nothing to do with them. Look at it. Neither went I up to Jerusalem to them which were apostles before me. Look at this. But I went into Arabia and returned again unto Damascus. Then after 3 years, I went up to Jerusalem to see Peter and abode with him 15 days. Stayed with him a fortnight. But other of the apostles saw I none, save James, save Yaakov, the master's brother. According to Paul, James is not only an apostle, but he is Yahshua's brother. Do y'all see that? He finally goes to Jerusalem and check in. And according to Paul's own mouth, because I heard a few Hebrews jaw-jacking, talking out the side of their neck like, oh, James wasn't no apostle, and James, and what you mean that was his brother? Well, according to Paul, most of our Israelite brothers, Paul is their Messiah. They just don't know it. But according to Paul, James is not only an apostle, he's Yahshua's brother. Look at that. Look at that. According to Paul's own lips, James is the brother of Messiah and he's an apostle. What we talking about? Verse 20. Now the things which I write unto you, but behold, before the Most High I lie not. Remember, Paul is writing a letter to the assembly in Galatia. And he's defending his ministry, y'all. This is what's happening here. He's losing control over this overseas assembly that he done raised up. Now, you got to ask yourself, how is he losing control? And why he got to certify himself? And why he got to run around and claim, you understand, or exalt himself and claim what I'm teaching I got by revelation. I ain't go check in with them at all. When I finally did, I saw Peter, then I saw James. That's about it. Verse 20. Now the things which I write unto you, behold, before God I lie not. I ain't lying. You already know. If a bro got to keep telling you I'm not lying, you already know what time this is. He's defending his ministry. Afterwards, I came into the regions of Syria and was unknown by face into the churches of Judea which were in Messiah. But they had heard only that he which persecuted us in time past now preaches the faith which he once persecuted. And they glorified God in me. All right. So this is Paul defending his ministry. Let's go over to the next chapter. You want to know about Paul? All we got to do is read his word. Read his letters. Read his letters. And watch this. We go into Galatians chapter 2. The council at Jerusalem. Look what's up under it. Acts chapter 15, verse 1 through 21. That's why I took y'all first. You see that? This is easy work. We ain't even got to put it together like this is chemistry. This is easy work. What you mean? The council at Jerusalem. Then 14 years after, I went up again to Jerusalem with Barnabas and took Titus with me also. So he goes to check in again. And I went up by revelation and communicated unto them that gospel which I preach among the heathen or the Gentiles, but privately to them which were of reputation, lest by any means I should run or had run in vain. So he's saying he got with the leaders of the movement and explained to them his understanding about what he's teaching. Now, y'all, if he got to explain something to them, then guess what? That means what he's teaching, they don't teach. He's teaching something different. And most brothers don't see it. Most sisters can't see. Paul is teaching different than the apostles, and many times he's hostile toward them. You don't see it, though, because we never slow down and reread what we're looking at. We still looking at it with a religious lens, and you ain't looking like, no, look at it, reread it. Look at this. Verse 3. But neither Titus, who was with me, being a Greek, was compelled to be circumcised. And that because of false brethren, remember, he's writing to the assembly in Galatia about his experience in Jerusalem. Now, he amongst Nazarene brothers, Messianic brothers and sisters that believe in Messiah. Look what he's calling them. And that because of false brethren, unawares brought in, who came in privately to spy out our freedom, our liberty, which we have in Messiah, that they might bring us into bondage. Paul is talking about circumcision. Don't lose the context here, and you'll see what's going on. This thing was about circumcision and how to eat. Circumcision and how to eat. And he's calling circumcision bondage. He's calling it bondage. Watch this, verse 5. To whom we gave place. Remember, to whom we gave place by subjection. No, not for an hour. Look what Paul telling you. I refuse. He telling the assembly in Galatia, I refuse to be in subjection to them. Not for an hour. No, that the truth of the gospel might continue with you. Remember, he's defending his ministry. He letting it be known. When I went to Jerusalem, they wasn't talking about none of that they telling you about. This is what Paul is saying. He's giving his version about what happened in Acts 15. Now watch this. And he's telling the assembly in Galatia, I refuse to be in subjection to them. No, not for an hour. Look, and this is over circumcision, and he calling them already false brethren. Look at this. Paul is teaching a different Messiah. It ain't the apostles, it's Paul, verse 6. But of these, look at this. Remember, he's talking about the leaders in Jerusalem. But of these who seem to be somewhat, whatsoever they were, it make no matter to me. God accepts no man's person. For they who seem to be somewhat in conference added nothing to me. Do you hear this? Now watch this. Let me show you something real quick. Let's look at that Galatians 2 and 6 in a different version. Let's look at that in a different version. Watch this. Let me show y'all something. Just real quick. So we can be clear on what he's saying. Mally, you making big claims like he talking against James and them and Peter and them. Yeah, well, let's go to the NLT version. Look how they translate that. Right there. And the leaders of the church. Look at this. Who is the leader of the church? The leader of the assembly or the movement in Messiah is James. Then you got Simeon or Simon Peter. Then you got John and them. Look who he talked. The leaders of the church, y'all, are the disciples and apostles that Yahshua ordained. Paul is teaching a different message here. He ain't on one accord with them. And the leaders of the church had nothing to add to what I was preaching. By the way, their reputation as great leaders made no difference to me.
Whoa.
God has no favorites.
Whoa.
Oh, wait.
That's heavy right there, bro.
Are we serious? That right there shows you Galatians 2 and 6 that Paul has a beef with the disciples. The disciples or the apostles, they are the direct leaders of the movement, y'all. That's what's going on. And Paul just told you that he refused to even be in subjection to them. And he's telling the assembly at Galatia that when he went to Jerusalem, these men that's checking me on what I'm teaching now had nothing to say to me. They ain't add nothing else to me. Paul lying right there. What else was James? What else were they talking about? If it wasn't circumcision, what was it? To abstain from meats offered to idols, and from things strangled, and from blood, and from fornication. Paul just said that the leaders of the assembly, whoever they are, it don't even matter to me. For the Most High that has no favorites, they ain't even tell me to teach nothing else. They said I was good with the circumcision. They ain't add nothing else to me, but that ain't what Acts 15, verse 21 through 29 says. He was given directives from James to these overseas communities, and he did not teach what he was commanded to teach. So then James starts sending men at him to clean up his mess. So then he got to what? He's losing control over his assemblies. So now he guess what he got to do? That's what he got to do. He got to character assassinate the leaders of the movement. Look at this. He just told you he don't care nothing about the leaders of the church. And said they didn't add nothing else to him. And that he refused to be in subjection to him. It's just one problem, y'all. The leaders of the church are the disciples and the apostles. Right? The leader is Yahshua's biological brother who grew up with him. Smelt his farts and everything. How you know him better than him? The rest of them are his students and disciples that he trained up. How you know the Messiah better than them? How? Look at this, verse 7. But contrariwise, when they saw that the gospel of the uncircumcision was committed unto me, as the gospel of circumcision was unto Peter, that's another lie. What you mean? In Acts 15, didn't James stand up and say that Peter was already out amongst the Gentiles, like with Cornelius and them? What you mean you got, so Messiah told them in Mark 14, verse 15 to 16, go out into the nations and teach whatever I command you. Paul is saying he got the order he's the only one that teach to the uncircumcision. And it was agreed on in Jerusalem that Peter would only teach the circumcision. That ain't what Acts 15 say. That's not true. That's not true. Because the disciples were already out amongst the nations teaching what Messiah commanded them. What you mean? It wasn't agreed upon in Acts 15 that, okay, Paul, you the only one that go to the nations. Peter, you gonna go to the circumcision. That wasn't agreed upon. Where that at in Acts? Where you reading that at? What you mean they ain't add nothing else to you? Where you read that at? Yeah, they told you teach to abstain from meats offered to idols. Did he teach it though? Watch this. For he that wrought effectually in Peter to the apostleship of the circumcision, the same was mighty in me toward the Gentiles. Verse 9. And when James, Cephas, which is Peter, and John, who seemed to be pillars. Look at him. He's dissing the elders. He's dissing the leaders. Y'all, he name dropping. We ain't even got to guess who he talking about now. We ain't even got to guess who he was talking about when he said it makes no difference whoever they are. Most High ain't got no favorites. He talking about James and them. He talking about Peter. He talking about John. We ain't got to guess. Use his letters. He name dropping, ain't he? Look.
Yes, he is.
He's writing to the assembly in Galatia about his experience in Jerusalem, and he ain't being truthful about it. He ain't being truthful about it. And when James, Cephas, and John, who seemed to be pillars, perceived the grace that was given unto me, they gave to me and Barnabas the right hands of fellowship. No, they gave you letters of recommendation. They gave you directives for these overseas communities. That's what James gave you. He didn't give you the right hand of fellowship. He gave you directives and orders that we should go unto the heathen and they unto the circumcision. So right here, Paul is saying that it was agreed upon in Jerusalem by James that the apostles would only go to the circumcision. Me, Paul, I would go strictly to the uncircumcision. That is not what we read in Acts. It's not in there. It's not in there. Look at this. He name dropping, man. But he's defending his ministry. He got to because he's losing control. Now watch this. Verse 10. Only they would that we should remember the poor. The same which I also was forward to do. The poor is the poor in Jerusalem. Remember, he's talking about his experience in Jerusalem. So Paul had to collect money. If you out here teaching, you also got to collect money for the poor in Jerusalem. All right, charity, right? Now watch this, verse 11. Look at this. Peter opposed by Paul. Look at this. Remember, this is Paul's letter to the assembly in Galatia. He's name dropping. Look at this. But when Peter was come to Antioch, I withstood him to the face because he was to be blamed. We only got one side of this story too. Now, if you believe that Paul punked Peter, that's all on you. All right. I read in Acts where Peter had fiery tongues put on him. But if you believe that, then you know a more power to you. You understand? But this is Paul justifying or trying to certify his ministry. Look at this. For before that certain came from who? James. James is sending men at all of Saul or Paul's assemblies to check his temperature. Got to clean his mess up because he's teaching a lawless gospel. It's lawless. Got to clean that up. And guess who's sending men? James, Yaakov Hazedek, Yahshua's biological brother, him. He's the leader of the movement. Even according to Paul's own lips, for before that certain came from James, he did eat with the Gentiles. So he's accusing Peter of breaking protocol. Huh? Breaking protocol. What are Gentiles eating? Huh? Meats offered to idols. Yeah. He's accusing Peter of being a violator of the overseas directive that James gave him. Because when Peter was here, Peter was over there eating that meat offered to idols. For before that certain came from James, he did eat with the Gentiles. But when they were come, he withdrew and separated himself, fearing them which were of the circumcision. The circumcision, y'all, is under the directives of James the Just, Yahshua's brother. And he's sending men to check Paul, to check his temperature over what he's teaching. Because he's teaching a different doctrine. You see that? It's Paul teaching a different doctrine. Look at this. And the other Jews disassembled likewise with him, insomuch that Barnabas also was carried away with their dissimulation. He name dropping. He didn't name John, Peter, Barnabas. He name dropping. James. The man name dropping. To the assembly in Galatia. Barnabas was even carried away. He dissing all the pioneers of the movement. But he got to do that to separate himself from what the apostles are doing, because Paul is doing something else. That's what our Israelite brothers and sisters are not seeing. Paul is doing something else. That don't mean it ain't certain things you read in Paul's letters that's beneficial. You understand? Like the spiritual wickedness in high places and dark principalities. And we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Absolutely. Like the fruits of the spirit. Absolutely. 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 But do we disregard everything else? Look at this. Look at this. Name dropping. Barnabas was also carried away with their dissimulation. What is dissimulation? Look what he accusing them of. Look at this. Dissimulation. He's calling Peter and the apostles hypocrites. And said Barnabas even fell for their hypocrisy.
Now he was doing all of this when he was away from the apostles, right?
He's going back. We want to know about Paul, we just read his letters. So even Barnabas was carried away with their hypocrisy. But when I saw that they, meaning the disciples and those sent by James, including Peter and Barnabas, but when I saw that they walked not uprightly according to the truth of the gospel, I said unto Peter before them all, if you, listen to this, if you being a Yahudi, a Jew, live after the manner of Gentiles, and not as do the Jews. Look what what did he just charge Peter with? He just said, Peter, one of the Messiah's top apostles, he just accused Peter or Kepha for living lawless, living like a Gentile. He said, you don't even live, look, you don't even live that truth you talking. He claimed he said this to Peter before everybody. And he's charging Peter with hypocrisy and Barnabas and claiming that Peter don't live lawful. He lived like a Gentile. Look at that. Those his words. If you, talking to Peter, this is Paul talking to Peter, supposedly. If you, being a Jew, live after the manner of Gentiles, and not as do the Jews, why compellest thou the Gentiles to live as do the Jews? He just accused your boy Peter of living like a Gentile, living lawless, not living what he speaks. Look at this. We who are Jews by nature and not sinners of the Gentiles, knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law. Y'all keep it in context. What we talking about here? We talking about table fellowship. We talking about dietary law, because Peter was eating with Gentiles. And there's a dietary law that James gave to the overseas communities. That's based off Torah. Eating meats offered to idols. Paul is telling you right here, that what he talking about, yeah, even though that's found in Torah, you won't be justified if you follow that. He's talking about the argument that he's having. Now remember, y'all, he's checking Peter the whole time. According to him, this is still on Peter. Knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, but by the faith of Yahshua. Even we have believed in Yahshua that we might be justified by the faith of Messiah and not by the works of the law. For by the works of the law shall no flesh be justified. So Paul's reason for not believing or going along with the dietary restrictions, such as abstaining from meats offered to idols, is because the works of the law or obeying that Torah or that law concerning meats offered to idols won't justify you anyway. This is Paul's justification. And he's condemning Peter in front of everybody according to him. You see this? Now, watch this. Remember, he was told to abstain from meats offered to idols. Right? Paul again. Let's go to 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians 10. Clip up. He name dropping. He name dropping. He got a problem with the apostles. If you slow down and read, you'll see it. You'll see if you slow down and read. 1 Corinthians again, more Paul. Look at this. And he's openly writing that he disagrees with what he was commanded to teach. He was commanded to teach about abstaining from meats offered to idols. He was already commanded to teach that. So what you mean in the last days they gonna come teaching abstaining from meats offered to idols? No, you was commanded to teach that. Because that was the order back then. Look, these brothers was plant-based. A lot of people don't want to touch that topic. Oh, hold on, what you mean? Because as you understood what meats offered to idols are, then you wouldn't in no way, shape, form, or fashion listen to what this says. 1 Corinthians 10 and 25. More Paul. Look at this. Whatsoever is sold in the shambles is the grocery store, the meat market, the butcher stall, wherever you go get your flesh at. Whatsoever is sold in the shambles that eat, asking no question for conscience sake. Look what he's saying. Whatever is sold at the grocery store, you can eat that and don't ask no questions. You know why, y'all? Because they was questioning what Paul was teaching. Hold on. According to what we heard from James and them, we supposed to abstain from meats offered to idols. Paul say, whatever is sold at the grocery store. If it's booty meat, if it's booty meat, because I mean, whatsoever is whatsoever. If it's gator meat, you can be a cannibal, you can eat gator. Whatsoever is sold in the shambles that eat, asking no questions for conscience sake. So my question is this. Surely whatsoever is sold at the meat market amongst the Gentiles who control the meat market, surely there is flesh offered to idols. Surely there is. Surely there is flesh that has died from strangulation. Surely, you understand, there's flesh where you can't cook the blood about it. So when he told the man to teach to abstain from meats offered to idols, y'all, he was telling them, look, stay away from that flesh. That's all that means. Stay away from that flesh. Because there ain't NAM, N-A-M. There ain't NAM, butcher stall, grocery store, meat market in the world, including in Zionist Israel, that lawfully butcher their cattle. You can't do it. You can't do it. Nobody's fulfilling Leviticus on how to properly slaughter your animal. So Paul said you can eat whatever is sold at the grocery store and don't even question it. Come on, you know something up with that. And this is his reason. For the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Yeah, but there are also clean and unclean things in the earth. Now watch this. Let's get clarity. Let's get clarity on 1 Corinthians 10 and 25. Clip up. Shout out to all the haters, jaw jackers, and naysayers. We love y'all too. We love the haters, man. Believe that, know that. Now watch this. Let's bring more clarity to it. Somebody, well, that ain't talking about eat whatever. I hear it all the time. I hear it all the time. ESV, NLT. Look at this. NLT. Look, this is 1 Corinthians 10 and 25 in the NLT. A clearer understanding. So you may eat any meat that is sold in the marketplace without raising questions of conscience. Any meat, booty meat, gator meat, pig
booty meat.
Huh?
Booty meat.
I'm not making none of this up. This man is openly writing against what he was commanded to teach. And they was checking his doctrine. He was losing control over his assemblies. So he had to start name dropping and character assassinating these brothers. To make him to make it seem as if he's superior. Look at this. NIV, eat anything sold in the meat market without raising questions of conscience. ESV, eat whatever is sold in the meat market without raising any question on the ground of conscience. He telling you, y'all, hey, look, if you got an itch to eat booty meat, go eat it, boy. And don't ask me another question if it's lawful to eat it or not. The earth belongs to the Lord anyway. That's his reason.
Hey, these niggas these days,
and that is directly against what he was commanded to teach. He was commanded to teach to abstain from meats offered to idols. His understanding on that was different than these brothers. All right. Now, watch this. It get deeper. Verse 27. If any of them believe not, so an unbeliever who don't believe what you believe, right, invite you or bid you to a feast, and you be disposed to go, meaning you just gotta go. I just gotta be there, Jack. Look at this. And you be disposed to go. Whatsoever is set before you, eat. Asking no question for conscience sake. Look at this. He's saying, look, if you get invited somewhere and you just gotta be there, whatever get put on the plate in front of you, eat it, and don't ask me no more questions about it being lawful or not. The earth belongs to the Lord. Boy, you ain't figured that out by now? Huh? This is his reasoning. Now look at this. But he know he got to deal with the idol topic. He know he got to deal. Now watch this. But if any man say unto you, this is offered in sacrifice unto idols, don't eat it or eat not for his sake that showed it, or for his sake that served it to you, and for conscience sake. For the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Look at this. Look at this. So according to Paul, don't eat it if somebody tell you this is offered in sacrifice to Zeus. Don't eat it for the sake of him that's bringing it to you. He ain't saying don't eat it because it's against order. We ain't supposed to be chewing on animals. He ain't saying don't eat it because it's against the Torah that they have at the time. He's saying don't eat it for the person that served it to you. And for conscience sake, the earth belongs to the Lord anyway. And his understanding is this. It's considered offered to an idol if somebody tell you it's offered to an idol. So if you go to the grocery store and it don't say offered to Zeus, that ain't offered to an idol. That's a butchering of the Torah. That's a butchering of the scriptures. Someone telling you it's offered to an idol don't make it offered to an idol, Jack. That's a butchering of scriptures. What make it offered to an idol, according to the Torah in Leviticus, is if it's not slaughtered, how the Torah say slaughter that animal. If it's not considered a quote unquote clean kill, according to the Torah, you gotta offer this. A ritual has to be done. You gotta sprinkle blood and put fat on the altar and burn it as a sweet savor. You gotta pour the blood in the dust and cover it up, and the flesh can't be dead longer than 2 days. And if it is, and it's not done like that, it's considered an abomination. It's considered unclean. You stand in jeopardy of being cut off. This is salvation. And it's considered offered to demons, devils, idols. So the whole understanding of meats offered to idols, y'all, is every piece of animal you chewing on that was not lawfully and properly slaughtered, how Leviticus say the animal's supposed to be slaughtered. Well, man, we don't know how it was slaughtered. Then don't eat it then. Just like the Maccabees ain't eat it when the temple was under attack. 2 Maccabees 5:27, clip up. The Maccabean priest didn't eat no flesh while the temple was under attack. In our case, we ain't got no temple. What flesh is anybody chewing on that's clean? And this is if you going by the flesh laws. You dig? So his whole understanding of what is meats offered to idols is off. Somebody telling you this meat is offered to Zeus, don't make it offered to an idol. What makes it offered to an idol is if it has not been properly processed, slaughtered, and prepared, how the Torah say do it. You want to know those instructions? You got to go to Leviticus chapter 17, verse 1 through 7. Then jump down to verse 13 and figure out what you do with the rest of the blood. Then you go over to Leviticus 7, verses 11 through 18. You understand? And that's the whole Torah. That's the category into which your everyday meats fall up under. It's a peace offering. But guess what, Jack? That flesh can't be dead no longer than a day or two. And if it's dead longer than that, it's not to be eaten. We got deep freezers full of animal flesh. We done had in there since last year. Talking about we gonna fire the grill up. No. No. Now watch this. So we got Paul openly saying you can eat whatever you want to eat and stop asking questions. The earth belongs to the Lord. All right. So my question to the community is this: is Paul teaching what he was commanded to teach, or is he teaching something different? It's real easy. Is Paul teaching opposite of the apostles when it comes to dietary law? If he's teaching opposite, give me a 1 up in the chat. If he's teaching the same, give me a 2. Is Paul teaching to abstain from meats offered to idols? Or is he saying you can eat whatever the hell you want is in the grocery store? The earth is the Lord's. Only just don't eat it if they tell you it's offered to an idol for the sake of him that's serving it to you. And for conscience sake. I mean, the earth is the Lord's, you know what I mean? He teaches something opposite. Everybody knows this. That's just the truth. So you want to know about Paul, and if he was off or not, just go into his letters and then ask, is he teaching what the apostles taught? Is he teaching what the apostles taught? Now look at this, verse 29. Conscience, I say, not your own, but of the other. For why is my freedom judged of another man's conscience? He keep running this liberty like he got the liberty to eat whatever he wants. He got the freedom in Messiah to eat. He ain't got to listen to what James and them gave him. He keep pumping this liberty out there. He used the same term of liberty when it comes to the circumcision. Even though later on, when you get into the Nazarene literature, eventually, the Gentiles who wanted to be a part of this, eventually they would have to be circumcised. Just not up front. Just like eventually Abraham was circumcised, just not in the beginning. If you're going to compare what you're doing to Abraham, then eventually the Gentiles that follow you should know, yeah, you're going to have to go ahead and get cut. But that ain't the understanding. It's not the understanding. And he keeps saying, why is his conscience judged? For why is my liberty judged? Why is my freedom judged of another man's conscience? For look at this. For if I by grace be a partaker, why am I evil spoken of for that for which I give thanks? Look at this. Whether therefore you eat or drink or whatsoever you do, do all to the glory of the Most High. Look at this. All right, so he's teaching something different. All right, now let's go back to, I'm going to go back to a few in Galatians, just real quick. I'm going to show you how angry this man gets. Remember, we ain't got to guess about who he's talking about. Off his own lips, he's talking about who? James, Peter, John, Barnabas. Off his own mouth. I ain't made none of this up. He's talking this off his own mouth. Now watch this. Let me show you this. We're going to go back to the top of Galatians. We're going to go to the top of Galatians. Look at this. Galatians 1:1. Paul, an apostle. Not of men, neither by man, but by Yeshua and God the Father who raised him from the dead. So he keep pumping this, that what I'm doing, I ain't get from men. And the only men you could have got this from is the apostles. See? This is how he got to introduce himself off. So trip off this. According to Acts chapter 1, Paul is not an apostle. He's a self-proclaimed apostle. According to him, he told you, not of men. Not of men. All right? Look at this. And all the brethren which are with me. Look at this. He ain't talking about everybody. He's talking about those that's riding with him, because guess what, y'all? There's a rift. There are those in the Galatia assembly that's hearing what James and Peter and them is saying, and there are those who are following Paul. That's why he got to say the brethren with me, because everybody ain't with him and he know it. Look at this. and all the brethren which are with me unto the churches of Galatia. Look at this. Grace be to you and peace from God the Father and from our Master Yeshua, who gave himself for our sins that he might deliver us from this present evil world according to the will of the Most High. To whom be glory forever. Amen. Now look at this. I marvel. He's talking to the assembly in Galatia. Okay. I marvel that ye are so soon removed from him that calls you into the grace of Messiah unto another gospel. Stop right there. What other gospel was being preached in the assembly of Galatia? Who did Paul have a problem with? Huh? Who did he say he refused to be in subjection to? Not even for an hour. Who did he say, whoever they are, it don't matter to me. The Most High don't respect no person. They ain't add nothing else to me. What other gospel? Who's teaching a different message than Paul? Y'all, we ain't got to guess. He name drop and tell you who it is. He got a problem with the apostles. Watch this. Which is not another, but there be some that trouble you and will pervert the gospel of Messiah. Remember, the whole thing was circumcision and dietary law. All right. Fornication was up in there too, but it was mainly about circumcision and dietary law. What and how to eat. All right. And who to eat with. But though we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel unto you than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed. Paul just cursed whoever that is that's preaching opposite of him. And he say, I don't care if it was an angel. Huh? If they come preaching anything different than what we have preached, who is the we? Do you still think the we is Paul and James and Peter and John? No, the we ain't Paul with the apostles. The we is who rolling with Paul. It ain't James. It ain't John. It ain't Barnabas. It ain't Peter. He got into it with all them. He's saying if it don't come from who I'm rolling with, then count him cursed. And look at this. He just cursed the disciples and the apostles. Look at this. He cursed them. Like, is this other Messiah? You curse your brothers and them because they got a different understanding? Don't curse. Wow, bro. That's serious? Look at this. Down here it says a curse. A man accursed, devoted to the direst of woes. The direst of woes, a religious ban or concretely excommunicated thing or person, accused, anathema, curse. Great. Paul just cursed. He just cursed the elders, the leaders of the movement, the pioneers, who Yeshua ordained. He ordained. There's a different gospel being taught in the assembly of Galatia that differs from Paul's gospel. And y'all, it's coming from Jerusalem. It's coming from the Nazarene chief bishop James on down from the other disciples. And they sending, look, even Paul said, men sent by James. James sending men to check his temperature. That's what's happening. We ain't making none of this up. And he just cursed them. That's what we're talking about. Let them be accursed. As we said before, so say I now again, if any man preach any other gospel unto you than that you have received, let him be accursed. He's talking about those who are coming against his ministry. And who are those that are coming against his ministry? The apostles who Yeshua ordained. So if you are a follower of Yeshua, you need to be following the apostles he ordained. And if a man who never met Yeshua claim he had a revelation, I ain't the one to say he did or he didn't. You understand? But you got to ask yourself this. Why wouldn't his revelation line up with what he ordained? And you got to ask yourself this. Common sense. What makes sense more to you? Who knew Yeshua more? His family and his students, or a man that never met him? Think about it. Obviously, what he's teaching is opposed to what they are teaching. Obviously. I'm gonna show you. So he's angry enough to curse the brothers. Curse them, anathema, directed to the direst of woes. Now look at this. To show you that's what he's doing, he comes right down here and defends his ministry. That's where we started at. He got to defend his ministry. He losing control of it. That's right, Guy Harrison. Yahshua taught to go to the Creator. That's what that's about,
Right.
man. So what I'm showing y'all is Paul was not on one accord with these brothers at all. He wasn't. Now, let's show you even more. Show you even more. And we can open it up. It ain't no thing.
Hey, can you hear me?
Matter of fact, what I want to do next is show y'all Peter's letter to James. I'm going to get into some Nazarene literature real quick. All right, let me show y'all that. And show y'all, Paul claimed he checked James, right? That's what he claimed. Paul claimed he checked Peter. All right, and then he also called Peter lawless. Called him a goy, a Gentile. Let me stop sharing. I'm going to share it back one more time. I'm going to show you, according to Nazarene Essene literature, according to the Nazarene Acts of the Apostles. We got our own Acts. According to this, all right, we're going to show you Peter's letter to James. First century documentation. And watch how the thing was set up. We already got Paul admitting himself, James run it. I eventually had to go holler at James. But Paul doesn't agree. That's the point. And I'm going to keep driving it home. He don't agree necessarily with what's going on in Jerusalem. And the main fallout, y'all, is circumcision and dietary law. All right. And the dietary law I'm speaking of, coming from a Nazarene perspective, is the no consumption of animal flesh. Because once you understand what meat or flesh offered to idols is, according to the Torah, then you know I ain't supposed to be chewing on that anyway. That's what that is. All right, now watch this. Watch it. Let me share my screen real quick. I got you. Let's go to the Nazarene Acts of the Apostles. Just real quick. Let's show the contrast. All right. Let's show the contrast. All right. Shout out to all my brothers and sisters. Bless up. Now look what this. And look, this has been documented. For y'all, you can go get the ante-Nicene fathers. All right. It's been documented. Y'all, this first century documentation. All right. This is Peter's letter. Now you got to ask yourself, why this ain't in the Bible, the New Testament? Why wouldn't this be in there? Why the Gospel of Barnabas ain't in there? Wow, it's everybody that Paul had a problem with. Barnabas ain't in there. Peter barely in there. James got a brief letter. Now here's a letter right here. All right. Nazarene Acts of the Apostles. Epistle of Peter to James. Peter to James, the master and bishop of the Holy Church or the Holy Congregation, under the Father of all, speaking of the Creator, through Yahshua, which is peace always. Now, Peter just acknowledged that James is the master and bishop of the whole movement. Look at that. Look at that. Why that ain't in the Bible? Who agreed to keep this out the Bible? Because it had to be a council of men to agree upon what you have today is the New Testament and the Old Testament canon. You understand? Look how he announced himself. Peter to James, the master and bishop of the Holy Congregation, under the Father of all, through Yahshua the Messiah, peace always. Now watch this. Before I read into that, I want to show y'all how Clement, a Gentile, addressed James. Watch this. I'm gonna go over and come right back to that. We gonna show you how Peter responds to the accusation of being lawless, because that's what Paul accused him of. He said he lived like a Gentile. It's showing y'all in these letters they responding to each other. You understand? A lot of people ain't understanding that they're responding to each other. Let me go down here and show y'all real quick, and I'm gonna come back. All right. Look at Clement's letter to James. Look how so we don't be up under no illusions. Look at this. All right. All of Israel been following the wrong guy. You've been following the wrong guy. Look at this. Epistle of Clement to James. And remember, James is Yahshua's biological bloodline brother. Epistle of Clement to James. Clement to James, the master and the bishop of bishops, who rules Jerusalem, the holy church of the Hebrews, the holy church of the Hebrews, and the churches everywhere, excellently founded by the providence of God, with the elders and deacons and the rest of the brethren. Peace be always blessed up. Do y'all see this? That means even every assembly that Paul set up had to be up under James' tutelage and rulership. You see that? That's why James was sending men at Paul. Paul, you're not teaching what I commanded you to teach. You're not teaching what we agreed upon. That wasn't the agreement. Clement understood. Nah, that's Messiah's brother. He the one that ruled it all. He ain't just a bishop. He the bishop of bishop. He ruled Jerusalem. Proof of it is Acts 15 that we started off in. The holy church of the Hebrews and the churches everywhere. So yeah, the chief bishop is not Nathaniel, Ray of IUIC, or none of the other brothers that claim they bishops or apostles. You understand? Like the chief bishop in Yahshua, you understand, ordained by him is Yaakov Hasadek, James the Just so happened to be his biological brother. All right. Once Jerusalem was destroyed, Rome, like the headquarters of all this, mysteriously came out of Rome. Ain't that crazy? Romans again. Now let's go back. Let me show you Peter's letter to James. All right. Peter's letter to James. And ask yourself why this ain't in the New Testament then. I'm going to read a little bit of this and then we can open it up for questions, y'all. It's all good. It's all good. But this thing get deep. All right. This thing get deep. All right. So what happened is anybody can pop up claiming they had a vision of Yahshua and start teaching his own thing. So what the Nazarenes did, they came up with what's called a doctrine of reserve. How do you reserve the doctrine? Huh? Now, this is Peter. Knowing my brother. This is Peter to James. Knowing my brother, your eager desire after that which is for the advantage of us all, I beg and beseech you not to communicate. Look at this. Not to communicate to any one of the Gentiles the books of my preachings, which I sent to you, nor to any one of our own tribe before trial. So Peter is asking James, he's like, look, what I'm out here teaching, what this whole thing represents, don't give the understanding, don't give the writings, don't give this to nobody else, whether they be Gentile or Hebrew, until they pass a trial. Yeah, you got to have a vetting system. Why wouldn't you? Think COINTELPRO is something new? They came up with a doctrine of reserve so they can reserve the doctrine, because trip off this, they understood literature, and literature is floating around. Everything floating around first century Palestine ain't righteous, ain't holy, Jack. That's just what it is. So the Nazarenes came up with a vetting system. All right, now watch this. Nobody gets the books of learning before trial. But if anyone has been proved and found worthy, then to commit them to him after the manner in which Moses delivered his books to the 70, who succeeded his chair. Wherefore also the fruit of that caution appears even till now. For his countrymen keep the same rule of monarchy and polity everywhere, being unable in any way to think otherwise, or to be led out of the way of the much indicating scriptures. For according to the rule delivered to them, they endeavor to correct the discordances of the scriptures. Look at what Peter is writing to James, and he's letting it be known everything in the scripture don't match up. Everybody know that though. Even those who claim the Bible don't have contradictions. Everybody know there are discordances, that everything in the Bible don't add up. Peter and James and them knew that back then. That's a modern understanding. That doctrine ain't even 100 years old. That the Bible is infallible. There's nothing wrong with it. That's something that came out about 100 years ago. The ancient men understood. Now look at this. It says right here, if anyone happily not knowing the traditions, is confounded at the various utterances of the prophets. So he say, look, if they don't know the traditions as taught by Yahshua, given to us, then you could easily be misled. Because everything in the scripture is not on one accord. There are discordances. There are contradictions in the scriptures. And Peter and them knew that. And he was like, look, if they repping this Nazarene movement and they ain't been properly, if they ain't went through trial, if they ain't been trained up through the traditions that we receive, then guess what? They're going to fall. They're going to be confounded. All right. Wherefore they charge no one to teach. Trip off this. They charge no one to teach unless he has first learned how the scriptures must be used. And thus they have amongst them one creator, one law, one hope. You see this? So the Nazarene understanding is you got to learn how to use the scriptures. You understand? You got to learn how to use the scriptures as taught by Yahshua. All right. And he gave that understanding to his apostles. Now, this Nazarene Acts of the Apostles is thick. That with the Clementine homilies, why wouldn't you want to go learn from whom Yahshua taught himself? Right? I mean, if you're coming from the biblical understanding or the biblical narrative, I know everybody don't, but I'm saying if you are and you claim you follow Yahshua, but you're not following the leadership structure he had in place before he made his transition. Nobody is. That deal went to Peter, then to Rome. You understand? And nobody, look, even when you bring up Yahshua having brothers and sisters, nobody even knows it for the most part. But his brother was ruling. Now look at this. Misrepresentation of Peter's doctrine. Now, Paul just said that Peter lived like a Gentile in Galatians. That's Galatians, the 2nd chapter. Paul just said the leaders of the church, which would include Peter, James, John, Barnabas, and all them, right? The leaders of the church, whoever they seem to be, it makes no difference to me. God accepts no man's person. Right? Then he threw a charge on Peter and said, hey, look, you was eating with the Gentiles. You was eating the meat that James said not to eat because the meat is offered to idols. So Peter's writing to James saying, hey, look, it's somebody out here misrepresenting what I'm talking about. I wonder who that could be. I wonder who that could be. Who out there misrepresenting Peter? Now, I can hear you right now, but in 2 Peter 3 and 15, Peter vouched for Paul. I'm going to give you a historical on that before we leave. I'm going to give you a historical on that, all right? Now, watch this. In order, therefore, that the like may also happen to those among us as to these 70, give the books of my preachings to our brethren with the like mystery of initiation. Yep, you had to go through an initiation. Almost like a mystery school, huh? Yeah, these teachings ought to be guarded. Because the Nazarene is saying, these brothers taught you about the Creator. Right? Taught you how to heal yourself, get into this scene literature. Teach you how to be your own physician, how to be your own herbalist and all that. Now watch this. What's going on? Now watch this. With the like mystery of initiation. Hold on, y'all. Still freezing up on me. Oh, good. All right, here we go. Wow. Make clear up. All right, may indoctrinate those who wish to take part in teaching. For if it be not so done, our word of truth will be torn into many opinions. Peter is writing to James saying, look, if we don't set up a proper vetting system, a trial, you understand? If we don't do this, what we teach is going to be torn into many different opinions. And you wonder why so many different denominations of Christianity and Hebrew Israelitisms. You wonder why? Because the truth that Yeshua taught 2,000 years ago has been torn into many opinions because the doctrine was not reserved. All right? There's an agenda there. Paul has the majority of the writings in the New Testament. And you mean to tell me that's not an agenda, a man that never met him? There's an agenda in play. And clearly he's angry with who Yeshua left in charge. Clearly. Now watch this. If it be not so done, our word of truth will be written to many opinions. And this I know, not as being a prophet, but as already seeing the beginning of this very evil. He like it's happening right now. For some, look at this. For some from among the Gentiles have rejected my legal preaching. Legal mean lawful, family. For some from among the Gentiles have rejected my legal preaching, attaching themselves to certain lawless and trifling preaching of the man who is my enemy. Oh, who that is? Who just threw Peter, James, John, and Barnabas up under the bus and cursed them? Who that is? Who it is told them the works of the law ain't going to justify you? You ain't got to pay attention to that dietary law James talking about. Who that is? Notice what he called them. Lawless and trifling, boy. Then he called him his enemy. Look at it. For some from among the Gentiles have rejected my legal preaching, attaching themselves to certain lawless and trifling preaching of the man who is my enemy. And these things some have attempted while I am still alive. Look at this. To transform my words by certain various interpretations. Huh? He's saying there's somebody out there destroying what I teach, transforming my words by these funny interpretations in order to the dissolution of the law. The law that Yahshua taught us, what this man saying I'm teaching will dissolve that. As though I also myself were of such a mind, but did not freely proclaim it, which God forbid. He say, man, look, whoever this is writing, he's my enemy. You understand? He running around with these funny interpretations. It's going directly against the code of conduct and the ethics that Yahshua gave us. And he's putting words in my mouth. Huh? Didn't Paul claim he punked Peter and checked him in front of everybody? Peter writing to James like, man, hey, the man that's my enemy, he out here writing things and putting out these funny interpretations that I never said. You see that? For such a thing were to act in opposition to the Torah of the Most High, which was spoken by Moses and was borne witness to by our Master in respect of its eternal continuance. For thus he spake, the heavens and the earth shall pass away, but one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law. And this he has said that all things might come to pass. But these men professing, I know not how, to know my mind, undertake to explain my words, which they have heard of me, more intelligently than I who spoke them, telling their members, their catechumens, that this is my meaning, which I indeed never thought of. But if while I am still alive, they dare thus to misrepresent me, how much more will those who shall come after me dare to do so? Look what Peter's saying. He said, so after that, they set up an initiation. We ain't going to read that. When you get a chance, read that. It'll blow your mind. You dig? It's an initiation in this, into the brotherhood of the Messiah. For my brothers is claiming sect of the Nazarenes, there's initiation in that. You understand? And we need to be thanking the Creator that this information wasn't lost. That information wasn't lost. You understand? You be thanking the Most High for that. All right, let me stop sharing screen. Then I need to go back. I got a couple more in Galatians, and then we can open it on up. All right, easy work. All right, easy work.
Clip up.
And get back to it real quick. Share screen. We want to make it easy to understand, y'all. You understand? Now, again, that ain't saying everything you read from them is wrong. But when you get into the Nazarene Acts, you're going to find out all that heavy, deep stuff you give credit for Paul saying, he got it from the apostles. It's where he got it from. He got it from the apostles. Yeah, it's crazy. You understand? So if you're going to hold on to the biblical narrative and you follow Messiah, well, Messiah, the leadership, the structure he left in place has to do with his family and the students he raised up. Anybody coming against that, you got to scrutinize and question that. And there's more to it. Like it's protocol on who can be an apostle. Nobody breathing oxygen today is an apostle. Nobody. Not according to the doctrine, they not. Now you may be a self-proclaimed apostle, but you're not apostle according to the Bible that you hold dearly. You're not. You understand? Now, watch this. Let's go back to Galatians. We already shown that he clearly has a problem. Hold on, y'all, my bad. Sure screen. Wow. All right, let's eat. A little bit more and we done. All All right, Lemon, we done. Did it pop up? Click on that for me, y'all. Should have popped up.
It ain't popped up yet.
Let me know if that's in your backstage. It's not in there? Okay. Let me do it again.
Man, y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that like button out there. Let's get these likes up. Let's get these subscribers up, man. I'm trying to hit 500 subscribers.
Share my screen.
Let me be able to post on the community.
Don't be hating that.
Come on, hit the subscribe button.
That. This deal ain't trying to let me share it. Okay, let me see. How else can I do it? I heard stop share already. Try one more time. Share screen. Yeah, I know I'm in the show, Jack. I'm trying to do my thing.
Hey, keep coming with that fire though. I ain't even gonna hold you.
This guy get. We already showed that he cursed the brothers. And look, the beautiful thing about this, y'all, we ain't gotta guess who he talking about. He name dropping. Here we are, man. How you know he was talking about them? He said their names. Then he said, whoever they are, it don't matter to me. I ain't gonna be in subjection to him anyway. The Most High don't accept no man's person. He name dropping. He's James, the Messiah's brother, is an apostle. So what? Right? James, Peter, John, Barnabas. He done got into it with everybody. He getting into it with the disciples. He getting into it with the pioneers of the movement. So that means because he's teaching something different. So when he say bringing another gospel, he's talking about what the disciples teach. You see, when he's talking about in the last days, some shall depart from the faith, having, itching ears and all that extra. And he talking about the teaching to abstain from meats. That's a doctrine of devils. Hey, Hilltop 12 tribes. It's like me telling you in the year 2008 through 2016, the United States of America had a black president by the name of Barack Hussein Obama. But we sitting right now is that prophecy. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. You understand? That's something that we can speak on as a fact because it already happened. It's already going on, right? All right, well, in Paul's day, the Nazarene leadership already was teaching to abstain from meats. He ain't prophesying about a Malachi, Macabee all of a sudden found out 16 months ago you ain't supposed to be chewing on animals. There wasn't no prophecy. It already was going on. Because everybody love to go to 1 Timothy 4. Y'all, he talking about Yahshua and them brothers. They the ones had the locks. They was Nazarites from the womb, right? They the ones never ate the flesh. Paul calls them weak. Those that eat the herbs are weak. Meaning weak in faith. He's talking about but he talking about disciples though. We got in Peter's writings I just showed y'all. We'd have kept reading. Peter don't eat no flesh either. He tell you in there, the giants is who were the first ones to start chewing on animals. Man learned that from them. You see? Now, watch this. Let me see if I can share this. If not, I'm just going to go back to Galatians and just read it off the screen because it ain't letting me share for some reason. But it's all good. Let's go to Galatians. Shout out to the platform again, man. Right on for having the brothers on. All right. Now, I'm going to go back to Galatians. All right. We're going to go to Galatians. Let me show y'all. They talk. Look, he talking and the brothers responding to him. Nobody ever trips off of it, though. Nobody ever trips off of it. Paul defending his ministry, man. I'm going to show y'all a little something real quick. All right, now we in Galatians 3:1. This is crazy. You want to know about Paul? Slow down and read his letters. We can get into every conspiracy theory you want later. But if you get the understanding from his letters, then you can grow. Oh, dang, that's crazy. He do say that. Galatians 3:1. Oh, foolish Galatians, who have bewitched you. Hold on. Slow down, y'all. Remember, this is a long letter he's writing to the assembly in Galatia. And he's claiming they've been bewitched. And whoever been bewitching them teach another gospel. And whoever teach another gospel been sent by James, who Paul got a problem with. So now he's claiming that what the apostles are teaching is witchcraft. Are you serious? Let me look at the definition. Look at the definition. What does it mean to bewitch? Wow. It says right here to charm, to bewitch, to malign, by extension, to fascinate. Who have bewitched you? To bring evil on one by feigning praise or an evil eye. Wow. Okay. Let's go back. So Paul is claiming whoever been coming behind him has bewitched him. Has bewitched him. Y'all, we ain't got to do no guesswork. You know who he been talking about. He the one name dropping. You ain't got to guess who he talking about. We all know who he talking about now. Oh, foolish Galatians, who have bewitched you, who have seduced you, all right? That you should not obey the truth, before whose eyes Yahshua have been evidently set forth, crucified among you. This only what I learned of you. Receive you the Spirit by the works of the law or by the hearing of faith. So now, again, remember, he's defending his ministry. He like, look, whoever telling you about this dietary law, about this meats offered to idols, and whoever telling you about this circumcision, you understand? Like, if you didn't receive what he calls the Spirit from them, which is crazy because these are the very brothers, according to Acts, the 2nd chapter, that got the fiery tongues on them. So whatever you call the essence or the Spirit of the Creator, bear witness to them. What you mean? But again, he's defending his ministry by character assassinating the disciples. This only what I learned of you. Receive the Spirit, receive you the Spirit by the works of the law or by the hearing of faith. Are you so foolish? Having begun in the Spirit, are you now made perfect by the flesh? Look at this. Have you suffered so many things in vain, if it be yet in vain? He therefore that ministereth to you the Spirit and worketh miracles among you, doeth he it by the works of the law or by the hearing of faith? Now look at this. So now Paul claiming ain't none of them niggas doing miracles. I'm the one I heard doing miracles. So whatever I'm teaching must be right. Well, again, y'all, this is one-sided. All right, this is one-sided. All right, we got all in the Nazarene Acts. Peter praying for the masses and the masses being healed of all type of infirmities, and showing you how these so-called demons get into your body is through what you eat. Flesh, yeah. Now look at this. So he, according to him, they don't work miracles. He does though, right? Even as Abraham believed God and it was counted to him for righteousness. All right, now watch this. Again, he says, he therefore that ministers to you the Spirit and work of miracles among you, doeth it by the works of the law or by the hearing of faith. Drop that. Let's go to James. Go to James real quick. All right. James 1 and 22. Real quick. It's easy work. It don't even take long. Y'all, this stuff easy. All praise to the Creator. All right. James 1 and 22. Notice what James says in response to all this hearing of faith talk. Because Paul claimed that it ain't about the works of the law, it's just about hearing the word. And that's how you receive the Spirit or the essence of the Creator, right? But James responds and says, but be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. James is replying to Paul. Because Paul's doctrine, remember, his gospel and doctrine is different than the disciples. Right? Paul later on in Ephesians talks about good works and all that. You understand? But that doesn't eliminate what he's saying in Galatia and who he's preaching against. All right. Yeah, I was trying to share the screen, guy. It ain't working for some reason. So notice James says, but be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. So whoever teaches that all you have to do is be a hearer of the word is a deceiver, according to James. You're deceiving your own self. But be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. Drop it. Let's go to James 2 and 17. Because Paul keep running this, it's faith. It ain't got nothing to do with work. A lot of our brothers and sisters never knew they writing, responding to each other. All right? They responding to each other. James 2 and 17. I'm going to try to share it again, y'all, but for some reason it wasn't working. All right? James 2 and 17. Even so, faith, if it have not works, is dead being alone. Faith without works is dead. But in Galatians, the 3rd chapter, Paul is preaching a gospel of hearing of faith justifying you and no works. All right. And the works that he's speaking against y'all is circumcision and the dietary restrictions that James gave out, which is based in Torah. All right. That's what he's speaking against. Oh, we prove an opposition. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So he calling the Galatians foolish. He's saying that the men that's teaching different than him have bewitched them. All right. Now, he also asks again, okay, man. Okay, now we're going to jump down from there. All right. And then we're going to go over to Galatians 5. Watch this. 4 is good too. He telling himself he's more than 4. He start comparing the Torah to paganism. It's crazy. You're like, man, is this dude tripping? Man, how is you saying this? You know what I mean? Like, what is you talking about? He called whatever James, because what the assembly in Galatia is starting to believe is opposite of what Paul. So he's claiming that they've been bewitched, that they observe days and times and laws. And we used to teach that, he's saying they were slipping back into paganism. No. If they are being taught to observe days, times, and laws, and it's not from Paul, y'all, that's from the leaders of the Jerusalem church, specifically James. So what days, times, and laws? You understand? The feast days from a Nazarene perspective. You know what I mean? Now watch this, Galatians 5. Let me show y'all something. Paul speaking against dietary restrictions, which is no chewing on animals, and circumcision. That's what he's speaking against. You understand? He don't like what James told him to teach. So he's teaching a different gospel. Now look at this. Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty. There you go again. Stand fast, therefore, in the freedom wherewith the Messiah hath made us free. And be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. He keeps calling the law or the code of conduct or the way you're supposed to move as a Nazarene, he keep calling it bondage. He calls it yoke, entanglement. Look at this. Behold, I, Paul, say unto you that if you be circumcised, if you are circumcised, if you get circumcised, Messiah shall profit you nothing. That's a clear shot. Because who in charge of the circumcision, even according to Paul? According to Galatians, the 2nd chapter. Who in charge of the circumcision? James, Peter, all them. He's saying if you're circumcised, Messiah ain't going to profit you nothing. For I testify again to every man that is circumcised, that he is a debtor to do the whole law. Wow. So he's saying if you had that cut, brothers, and according to Paul, Messiah ain't going to profit you nothing. You a slave to the whole 613 laws. Wow. Y'all, he's speaking directly. All them brothers circumcised. They the ones that's holy from their mama's womb. At least James is for sure. James and his brother Messiah and them. Paul is totally against the circumcision. Paul totally against the dietary restrictions. He don't feel the Gentiles have to be under the same discipline as the Nazarenes. So what he teaches is opposite. All right. So he say, for I testify again to every man that is circumcised that he is a debtor to do the whole law. Messiah is become of no effect unto you. He's saying if you circumcise Messiah don't matter to you anyway. You see how extreme he going here? This was an angry man. Man was angry. But you get into Galatians 6 and he talking about the fruits of the Spirit is love and joy and peace and long-suffering and gentleness and goodness and kindness and meekness and faith. Bro, you just cursed the bros out in Galatians 1. You just cussed the bros out in Galatians 2 according to you. Huh? Galatians 3, you keep talking about the hearing of faith and it ain't got nothing to do with the work of the law or the instructions that James gave you, which is rooted in Torah. Now you make a bold statement and say if you're circumcised, it don't matter at all. What you believing in Messiah for if you circumcised? Dang. Y'all, he's defending his ministry. And a lot of the brothers. Shout out to my brothers, man. Shout out to my Israelite family. Love y'all brothers. A lot of my brothers can't see this because you don't want to slow down. And you feel you blaspheming. Nah, you ain't blaspheming. Right? How you about truth, but you ain't willing to be truthful? I ain't even went nowhere else other than the Nazarene Acts. I'm letting Paul's own words convict him. These is words. He's clearly speaking and teaching opposite of the apostles that Yahshua ordained, who the top apostle is Yahshua's biological brother, who Paul tried to kill. And you won't follow him? What is you talking about? Look at this. Galatians 5:4. Messiah has become of no effect unto you. Whosoever of you are justified by the law, what law is he talking about though, y'all? He talking about circumcision here. Are fallen from grace. For we through the Spirit wait for the hope of righteousness by faith. For in Yahshua Messiah neither circumcision availeth anything, nor uncircumcision, but faith which worketh by love. He said in Yahshua, circumcision don't mean nothing to him. Huh? Nor does uncircumcision. Well, if you ain't circumcised, you by law uncircumcised. He's totally against it. All right, now watch this. You did run well. He talking to the Galatian assembly because he done lost control over them. Because James and them keep checking his temperature. You're not following the protocol, Jack, that was established. You're doing your own thing according to your own mouth. So he telling the Galatian assembly, you did run well. Who did hinder you that you should not obey the truth? The truth according to Paul. This persuasion cometh not of him that called you. A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. Now he's comparing it to leaven. He's comparing what James and the Jerusalem assembly is teaching to leaven. And we all know leaven is sin. Already called your boy Peter a heathen, a goyim. Said he was in violation. Cussed Barnabas out. Said it don't matter. I'm the one that's holy from my mama's womb. Ain't got nothing to do with James. Dang. Look at this. I have confidence in you through the master that you will be none otherwise minded. But he that troubleth you shall bear his judgment. He pronouncing judgment, whosoever he be. He pronouncing judgment, y'all, over circumcision. Whoever troubling you and whoever James sending to you to persuade you, you need to be circumcised. And if we would have kept reading the Nazarene Acts, we'd have kept reading it in the initiation. Eventually, Gentiles had to get circumcised. Maybe not at the beginning, but going through your initiation. The initiation is a 7-year bid. You got to study with a certified Nazarene priest like K5, Peter, John, and all them, James and them, for 7 years before you qualify. And during your course, you eventually get circumcised if you ain't circumcised already. All right? Now look at this. I have confidence in you through the Lord that you will be none otherwise minded, but he that troubleth you shall bear his judgment, whosoever he be. And I, brethren, now look at this. And I, brethren, if I yet preach circumcision, why do I yet suffer persecution? Then is the offense of the cross cease. He's telling, like, look, if it's all good, what is he being persecuted for? Why James and them sending men at him if he's teaching what they teach? Look at it. Now, verse 12. I would they, we ain't got to guess who he talking about. He's pronouncing judgment. I would they were even cut off, which trouble you. Now, when the average person here cut off, he just think, well, hopefully they get excommunicated, right? But what is Paul really saying? Now, remember, the law he's speaking against is circumcision. So you ain't got to think like, okay, well, he must be speaking about wearing fringes or, whatever. The law of Jubilees, you understand, mingling garments. No, keep it in context of what he's speaking about. We've been speaking about dietary law and circumcision. All right. Right here, he's pronouncing judgment on anybody, whoever they be. that's troubling the assembly at Galatia. Last verse. Watch this. Watch this. All right. Now, when it says cut off, y'all, and remember, we are talking about the privy member on a man. Keep that in mind. This is about circumcision. So he said, I would that they were cut off that trouble you. Y'all, when Paul said cut off, he mean castrated, amputated. The definition says to cut off, to amputate. Huh? It says to amputate reflexively by irony, to mutilate the privy parts, to cut off. Do you mean to tell me Paul just pronounced the judgment that Paul just pronounced according to Galatians 5 and 12 when you look the word cut off up? The judgment that Paul just pronounced on the men who were sent by James to check Paul's teachings, whether it was dietary law, abstaining from meats offered to idols, or circumcision. Paul just said, mutilate yourself. I wish they was castrated that's troubling you with this nonsense. Well, all you got to do is ask yourself a question. Who was troubling them? Who was coming through, you understand, teaching something opposite of Paul? Think about it, y'all. It's the apostles he got a problem with. That's who he cursing. It's the apostles that don't shave. They Nazarites. All right? We got the history on that too. I mean, if I could share the screen, they ain't letting me share, but I would have pulled up something for y'all and showed it. You understand? Going back 1,700 years, they were speaking on James and Peter and how they ate. All right? According to the history, lifelong Nazarite. According to the gospel of the Hebrews or the gospel of the Nazarenes, Messiah, his brothers, his sisters, lifelong in this. John the Baptist too, his cousin, lifelong, bloodline. What you mean? What you mean? So that's in a nutshell. That's what that's about. You want to know about Paul? Just go read his letters. And just based on what we read in Galatians, he pronounced a judgment of castration on the disciples, y'all. And well, Malachi, how you gonna say it's the disciples? Because Paul named them, didn't he? He named them in his letter. He named those men. Paul is cursing these men. Paul is belittling these men. Paul is character assassinating these men. All right? Because what these men are teaching the opposite of what Paul taught, and he's losing control over the assembly in Galatia. All right? And look, it get deeper, y'all. We can always dive deeper and go even deeper. You dig? We teach a lot about this topic. I'm in the process now of doing like my 10th video over James versus Paul, and it get deep. It get deep. You understand? So anybody else got any questions? You know what I mean? Open it on up. We can get the questions going. But we learned tonight, for any jaw jacker, hater, and naysayer, we learned about Paul from what he wrote. We had to go for it. We learned about Paul from what he wrote himself. And based on what he wrote himself, he disagreed with what was being taught. Now, the people that commanded him to teach, or the man that commanded him to teach, was the man who was left in charge and ordained by Yeshua himself. And that's in the KJV. That's in the Gospel of Thomas. That's in the Gospel of Nazarenes. That's in Peter's letter to James. We read that. That's even in Clement. That's even in Clement's letter to James. James was the chief bishop over the movement after the Messiah transition. All right. So all praise and glory now to the Most High. Clip up.
Clip up. Hey, bro.
Yeah, that's
that
right.
was fire.
You know, set up who I live in. Once you see it, you can't unsee that. You can't unsee that.
Oh, that was fire. That was fire.
Hey, brother Malachi, can you hear us? Hey, see what he hears. I don't think he can hear us, Don.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Hey, yes, Sharon. Hey, there's a lot of videos online saying that Simon Magus is Paul. You understand? A lot of theories, but you know, I don't know how much we can prove that, but like I like to stay within what he says, and then once we dive into that, then we can always get into some histories and all that. You understand? We suggest a few books. It's a good one right here. Robert Eiserman, James, the brother of Jesus and the Dead Sea Scrolls. Volume 1, the historical James, Paul, the enemy, and Jesus' brothers as apostles. All right. Volume 1 and Volume 2 of that. Robert Eiserman, he's still living. They did a lot of extensive work on the Dead Sea Scrolls. You understand? Excellent read, though. Excellent read. Talk to me, though. Op, what's the word?
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. No.
Oh shit. He want to jump
out. How y'all doing?
Hey,
shout out to everybody in the chat. Bless up. Shout out to all the haters, y'all jackers and naysayers. We love y'all too. Believe that. You understand? It's the Nazarene, the same thing. Create a gang, 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 baby. Y'all already know. Create a gang is the family, is the movement. Let's work.
Hey, everybody in the comment section, if you can hear us all, put a 1 in the comment
FOP
section.
Civil War, Shalom. Shout out to the FOPE Brotherhood. Clip up. Clip up.
Come on. They can hear all of us. He just can't hear us though. So let me see. Can I drop him and see can he come back in? Come back in, brother. I'm gonna see can I.
One brother that posted.
All right. I'm gonna see can he come back in here.
Hey, that brother was dropping that hot grease, boy.
Man, he brought some fire. He brought some. Shout out to the brother Malachi MACABEE, man. I hope he can come back in, man, because he couldn't hear us, man. But man, you know, shout out to the Creator Gang. Shout out to the brother Salah. Shalom, man. The brother Salah, Shalom, man. You know, this is a very new channel. We've been on for about 7 months. I have personally. And, you know, we're yet to reach 1,000 subscribers. We're almost at 500. We're probably under 15, man. Y'all hit that subscribe button right now. Hit that like button right now, man, and get us over that hump, man. The brother Shalom, man, the first episode he did, man, he I mean, you know, so he brought some fire to me. He broke some records, man. But damn it, Malachi MACABEE, man, on the humidity, man, that brother broke some damn records over here. Now, this ball channel right here, man. Shout out to the brother, man. Shout out to the Creator Gang. Cosmic Cal, man. Cal P, you know you up next, baby. Shalom. We're gonna reach on some new topics, man. You know you up, man. Queen Nefertari from FOPE. She's up. She's gonna do a couple things here. So y'all be looking out, man. We got some big things coming, man. The brother Malachi MACABEE, he coming back to do a lesson on the dietary laws, man. It's gonna be, you know what I'm saying, epic. If he's listening, brother, the link is in the live chat, man. I want you to they might have a couple questions for you real quick. You know what I'm saying? Cosmic Cal, man, you know we're gonna get up with you, man. You already know we're gonna put it together, man.
Hey, he said his computer loaded back up. He'd be right back on.
Okay, man. But what you gotta think about that, you know what I'm saying, man, this show, man. I'm telling you, man, he doing numbers, man. Y'all smash that subscribe button, smash that like button right now, man. You know what I'm saying? Get us over 500, man. So get this community going off, man. Get these posters on this community, man. You know how YouTube is, man. They shut down all the melanated channels, man. So we start coming on with some higher level learning. Here come, you know what I'm saying? Here come the powers that be. I ain't gonna call it what it is, but here come the powers that be. They regulate all the melanated channels, man. It don't matter if you're damn traveling, if you're damn doing the lowest work, whatever, man. You know, if you're doing something good, man, they're gonna shut it down, man. You know what I'm saying? But y'all hit that subscribe button, man. You know what I'm saying? I see a couple of y'all say y'all didn't get a notification. That's how YouTube is, man. Controversial biblical breakdown series sponsored by the Scoring Black Man podcast. I'm your host, the Doc Israel. I got my co-host in here, brother Don Yehuda, man. We've been on the thing, man. Shout out to the, you know what I'm saying, to the chat room, Harry Warman, man, Joseph Edwards, you know what I'm saying, Miss Set Apart Living, you know what I'm saying, Folk, Civil War, you already know what it is. She Brew, 144,000. You know that big brother K Judah up in the building, Nehemiah, man. The brother Benny, man, Battle Axe, man, so many of y'all, man. The good elder, man, he said they're gonna cut off your man meat, man. You love me. Shem, shout out to Shem, man. That brother Yash, man. Yash, where you been at, man? We been looking for you, man. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Guy, man. Bronze Yoga, man. Shout out to that boy Bronze Yoga, man. You know, everybody, I'm trying to call all y'all, trying to find y'all in, man. There's a lot of y'all. But shout out, man, for y'all coming up and supporting. Big show, big show today, man. This brother brought some heat. Damn, he brought some heat, man. I was looking, I said, damn, man. Damn, followers just kept going up. I said, man, he cranking up now, man. He cooking with goddamn fish grease now. He cooking with fish grease. What you got to say, though, brother Daniel? Oh, there you go. There you go, brother. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I had to jump on my phone, man. Can you hear me?
There you go.
Man, I had to jump on my phone. I'm gonna wait for my computer to jump back on. You dig? So bro. Any questions though, brother? Any questions? You know what I mean? That's just what it is. So for anybody don't know, we Israelites, but we more of the ancient faithist way of like the Essene Nazarene understanding of it. You understand? That don't mean we better than anybody or nothing like that. But for anybody listening that disagree with what we saying, we can deal with you with the KJV. You understand? Like, we understand everybody don't got all the information that we have. Everybody don't read what we read. But we'll swim with you wherever you at. That's how much love we got for you. We can deal right in the Bible and see if we can get an understanding concerning what we supposed to be doing. You understand?
Somebody did have a question out in the chat. I seen it earlier using Bid Strife. The question was, what nationality was Paul from?
That's an excellent question. Now you got Paul. Man, I wish I could share my screen, boy. I would show y'all something. But you got Paul, right? On record saying that he's a Benjamite. I'm an Israelite. I'm from the tribe of Benjamin. You understand? Circumcised the 8th day and all that. But what nobody never asks is this. Well, how does this man have Roman citizenship being an Israelite?
Right.
Like, he the only Israelite in ancient Rome got citizenship? Like, what's going on here? You understand? So what people need to do is this. For one, in Romans 16:11, Paul tilts his hand and says the Herodians are his family, his kinsmen. All right. When you read an older version of the New Testament, one of the Peshitta versions, all right, that Romans 16:11, Paul calls the Herodians his relatives. Now, the Herodians are Edomites who converted to what you would call rabbinical Judaism, if you want to call that, which is a creation of Rome itself too, but that's another topic. All right, they converted to what you would call Judaism. You understand? And when they did, but they were Rome's tax collectors. All right, they had the king's seat. Herod was appointing priests. All that, you know what I mean? So my point is this: Paul can claim to be a Benjamite. You understand? Like Herod claimed to be a Jew. But once they converted, guess what? They never talked about their Edomite or their heathen heritage. So the answer to the question is this: Paul in there says, I'm an Israelite. But Herod says he's king of the Jews too, and he ain't no Israelite. You know what I mean? But Paul, off his own mouth, is saying he related to the Herodians. Now, you can say on his mama's side or his daddy's side, or he may be full-blown Herod. You see what I'm saying? So that's for deeper studies for brothers and sisters to get into. I will suggest read Josephus, The War of the Jews, and read about Saul in 1st century Jerusalem. Him and his brother Costa-Boris, who were kinsmen to the high priest and the king. Agrippa is Herod in them. Herod Agrippa, the Edomites. Yeah. So there's a Saul in Josephus 1st century that's an Edomite that goes to the high priest to get permission to go against the brothers that's coming against Rome. You dig?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I would say the good brother Cosmic KRP say he's Herod's cousin.
Yeah. I mean, look, off his own, look, anybody can go read this. Romans 16:11. He says, salute Herodias, my kinsman. When you looked at kinsman up, family, bloodline. Now, Herod's family, because of what they did with, I think it's Julius Caesar, Herod and everybody related to him got Roman citizenship, bro. The Messiah didn't have Roman citizenship. Peter didn't have Roman citizenship. None of the disciples, none of these men had Roman citizenship. You did, but Paul did. That's one tip into showing he may be an Herodian or an Edomite, because who claiming to be a Jew or a Hebrew in first century had Roman citizenship if you wasn't tied in with the Herods and the Flavians in Rome and the Alexanders in Egypt like Philo and them? You had to be tied in. That's Rome's empire. You know what I mean?
The good brother K. Judah from COC FOPE, you know, he put the facts that the Herons, the Herons was indeed Edom. So yeah.
Hey, tell KJ, I said, hey, Shalom, what's the word? Yeah, the Herods are Idumeans, but trip off this, KJ, they never claimed Idumean ancestry. You understand? They claimed they was Jews. So the same thing could be with Paul. You know what I mean? He can claim to be an Israelite. You understand? But he on record saying the Herods is his people. Well, look, the Herods came at John the Baptist, cut his head off, right? The Herods came at Yeshua. The Herods came at James, Simeon Bar, Yahudah, all the leaders of his movement, right? But the Herods, y'all, were part of the courts in Rome. They were the tax collectors for Rome. You understand? So we gotta ask ourselves and be real with ourselves that what Israelites you know had in first century Palestine had Roman citizenship if he wasn't related to Herod. You know, Romans 16:11. Check that out. All right, what else we got?
Hey, let me ask you a question, brother.
Go ahead, Kane.
With everything you brought out tonight, it seems like Paul was very meticulous and calculated with what he was doing. So I guess my question would be, was he doing that for vainglory to try to take the seat to be the leader of the church? Or do you think he was actually working for the Herodians and the Roman Empire?
Yeah, see, me myself, and you know this is controversial, but we dealing with controversial topics and all that. I believe he was sent in to destroy the first century Nazarene messianic movement coming out of Palestine because Rome couldn't destroy it completely by force. So they destroy it with literature. They destroy it with propaganda. Right, same thing they did with the Black Panthers here in the States back in the 60s. Right, when you get into this, bro, y'all type in chronological New Testament verse canon New Testament. All right, the chronological New Testament shows you which writings of the New Testament, according to history, was produced first. And trip off this, believe it or not, Paul's letters came before the Gospels you have in your Bible. You mean tell me Paul was writing about a man he never met? His writings are circulating already in the ancient world. You understand? Before the disciples? Wow. But that means Corinthians and Galatians is older than Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Look up the chronological New Testament. So then that's going to give you a different perspective. Like, hold on. You dig? That means that Paul's letters could possibly influence the Gospels. If Paul's letters are already in circulation by the time the Gospels are written, we got a major league problem. You know what I mean? So, me personally, I believe Paul was a double agent. All right, he was a double agent, working for the Flavian court in Rome. You know what I mean? That's why you think Josephus named Flavius Josephus. Now you got Vespasian, Titus, his son, and them, Domitian, and all them. Those were the Flavians. Now the Herods were in their court. All right, Bernice and Acts. That's a Herodian woman with some Maccabean blood in her, but nonetheless, Bernice in the book of Acts was Titus Vespasian Lebedwench. He was hitting that. You know what I mean? So the Herods, the Flavians, and the Alexanders, you understand? The Alexanders of Egypt, the Herods of Judea, and the Flavians who just took over once Nero died. All right? They all got together and was doing a lot of things that a lot of brothers don't want to talk about. You understand? But it's real. All right? It's real. And a lot of it, if you just slow down and reread Paul's letters and read Acts, you're going to be like, hold on, there's something else going on here, man. There's something else going on here that we need to talk about. You see what I'm saying? So me personally, I believe Paul was sent in as a double agent, a Roman agent to destroy the original Nazarene movement, the Messianic movement in Palestine, which culminated with the destruction at Masada in 73 CE. All right, that's what I believe.
Okay, do you believe in the book Legend of the Jews? Do you use that book? I know a couple of brothers that use that book.
I ain't never even heard of that. Legend of the Jews. Yeah, I ain't never even heard of it.
Okay.
Nope, I ain't never heard of it.
Before I pass to the brother Nehemiah, Cosmic Chaos, he said it was Paul Josephus.
Hey, that's a good theory, brother. That's a very, very good theory. That's a very, very good theory. Paul Josephus, Luke. But you gotta ask yourself this: who are they? Luke wasn't no disciple. Who the hell was Luke? And how he got a gospel? Right? When you get into the history, Luke, that's Paul's boy. So everything Luke writing, he getting from Paul, but Paul never met Messiah. And when you get into the conversion, y'all study Acts chapter 9, study Acts chapter 22, Acts chapter 26, and then Galatians 1. Those are 4 conversion accounts of Paul about him being converted. And don't none of them match up. Don't none of them match up. Acts 9, Acts 22, Acts 26, and Galatians 1. You see? So even if you don't believe he's a double agent, what we went over tonight at least showed you that what he's teaching is opposite of what they were teaching. At least we showed that. You know what I mean? And we ain't got to guess about who he's talking about because he the one name dropping. He the one name dropping. We ain't got to get on, man. He wasn't talking about them. Bro, he just said James. He just said Peter. He just said John. He just said Barnabas. You understand? He just pronounced a judgment of mutilation and castration on the same brothers. He cursed the brothers. You see what I'm saying? And then many other things, bro. He talk about the long hair. So Hilltop, 12 tribes, he'd have been talking about you. He talk about the brothers who don't chew on flesh. He call them weak. He talk about the brothers and sisters that's in the spiritual communion. He said that's off. Like everything that the brothers stand for, he against. See, Nehemiah, salute to the big homie. Nehemiah just put that up in the chat. Yeah, there it is right there. That's one of the brothers that's been teaching alongside with me for many years, man. Salute to that brother.
Con.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that the writings of Paul was the first ones out, because I want to say that in one of your videos you have brought out a book called Creating Christianity. Is that correct? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And so in that book, it kind of explains that in those times in first century AD, that only people that were able to write in these books were the ruling caste of Romans, the people that was ruling over everybody. So all literature had to pretty much go through some type of authoritative figure before it can be put out, or it wasn't going to be put out, period. Is that correct?
That's correct, Doc. That's correct. Everybody is not mass producing literature. You know what I mean? Especially then, because they didn't have freedom of speech either. You understand? Like today, you can run out and start you a blog if you want, but back then, you understand? You say something wrong, you get put to death. So your average brothers like us, we didn't have the resources, right? Or what about this? The education, right? You got to be educated in Koine Greek, or what they call Paideia. That's the curriculum of that day, Paideia. You got to know the writing styles and all that. Obviously, Paul do. He quotes certain Greek philosophers in his letters.
Mm-hmm.
He quoting certain Greek philosophers. So that means Paul has a literary skill. You know what I mean? He has an education, right? A curriculum that he has learned to produce these type of things. You understand? So yeah, brother, everything is not everybody's just not producing literature. You had to be educated and you had to have the resources. You know what I mean? Like the emperors would have. So absolutely.
Come on, brother Nehemiah, what's going on, brother? Shalom.
Hey, Shalom, Israel. What it do, everybody? Yo.
Shalom,
what's the word, big homie? Shalom.
What's going on, family? I just wanted to add my little 2 cents, man. And like You know, this is how we teach. Listen, if we believe that the Most High is not the author of confusion, and we believe the Most High is the same yesterday and today and evermore, then how do we get from Genesis 1:29 and 30, then to Genesis 6, we made a covenant with man and animals to live, to now you chewing on animals? That's confusion. That's a change. Then deeper studies, you know you have different scribes. That's why the Messiah was at war with the scribes, Pharisees, and Sadducees. Then you get to the prophets, right? Because the Most High, Christ said, I never come to destroy the law or the prophet. He never say the priest. You feel me? The priests were at war with the prophet. If the priests are the officiants of the temple and of God, and the prophets are the mouthpiece of God, they should not be at war with each other. They should be at peace because they completing the work together from the Most High. But one is always trying to kill the other all the way up to the time of Messiah. And everybody claiming under the order of Melchizedek and back dealing with, you know what I'm saying, the Messiah. Well, what's above also is beneath, or if you can say whatever is beneath is above. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Ask one Israelite at all from antiquity to today, where is the slaughter of bulls and lambs and goats and bullocks in the temple of the Most High? Where is the sprinkling of the blood in the heavens on the mercy seat? You don't see that. And then when you have the Most High tell you in Jeremiah and in Amos, mainly Amos chapter 5, right, 25 through 27, you didn't build your tabernacle to me. You didn't worship me. And he gave the names. You built that to Molech and to Sheung.
That's right, the false gods. That's right.
That's what I'm saying. We've been dealing with the false gods. What Israel trying to get you back on today is the doctrine of the false gods. The one that put us in captivity every time. Why he destroyed the temple every time. And then the Maccabees were a house of priests. And so they understood if the temple is divided, polluted, or destroyed, they went into the wilderness, fought that whole war, and it says they ate herbs continually. Now, these are priests. Sure, they could have made a makeshift temple and officiated, but they never did. You follow what I'm saying? They stayed apart from it. So if it ain't no temple, right, and you don't have the priest in place, right, because according to Deuteronomy 12:19, Deuteronomy 14:27, you have to have a priest in order to deal with your animals. You see what I'm saying? So we've been dealing with a corrupt priesthood that came out of Egypt and went right into Baal worship. You feel what I'm talking about? Right to the golden calf. And if you Google that golden calf, it's named Baal, bro. Or Molech. Right? The same thing that Amos told us about. Even the same thing that David said in Psalms 95. Them 40 years we was in the wilderness, we never knew his ways, bro. So if this is where we got our ways, and you got the king saying it, the prophet saying it, and even the Messiah saying, listen, you have your father the devil. You know what I'm talking about? You have to pay attention to that, man. There's two different gods. There's different gods being worshipped in the Bible. So when brothers that come up like Cosmo Cal and Selah and bro like that, brothers who will study don't have really an art with what them brothers saying because we realize that. You see what I'm talking about? The Nazarene ways of teaching that. You think your God is a blood God and want babies head smashed, but he got your law says thou shalt not kill. Woe unto them and take forward for those who kill innocents, and then you jump right back in the picture, and then talking about it's okay to commit abortions. Come on, man. You have two entities being served unknowingly in that Bible, bro. And Israel will have you following the doctrine of death that got us kicked out, right? And I talked about this when you get to Joshua 5, coming right out of the wilderness. That's a bloodless Passover. Coming right out of the wilderness. You see no blood going on nobody doorpost. You don't see no thousands of lambs being slaughtered. You know what I'm talking about? You don't see that. You look like your God is a blood guy, like he needs your blood of animals. But again. And look, that's without me even touching the other gospels or other books that other people got. We figured that out, you know what I'm saying, with the revelations we received in the KJV. That's why Matty always tell you, look, we can stay right in the book, right in your house. And prove it without a shadow of a doubt. And listen, we ain't never told nobody to put the Bible down. We just telling you that your God is not confused. He's not a killer. He's not wicked. He's not a murderer. He don't require the death of no babies, the death of no animals. He don't need none of that. And when you get back to that, understand that's how the Messiah moved, bam, you back on track. Because if you had the truth and it was in the law and everything was done right, then he wouldn't have to come to fix nothing.
Make it make sense, brother.
And then look, you in Jerusalem, you with the Messiah, you speaking your language, got your temple, you claim you calling on your hey, you sitting here doing your sacrifice, keeping your feast, keeping your Shabbat, and writing your Hebrew language, keeping the culture. Why was we in captivity and why did the Messiah come? If we doing everything according to the law, somebody is lying, somebody is wrong. Then even the Messiah always gave a different rendition of those things that was written in the law. But what about Moses? Well, yeah, we can go into the law and say that you put your wife away, but Christ said from the beginning it was not so. So wait a minute. How did we get it? That was the next question. He said, because the hardness of your heart, Moses suffered you to put your wife away. So you telling me Moses gave you something under his own unction and not under the Most High? That's why Moses told you, he that come after me, him must you hearken to. Because Christ came to set the record straight. Get rid of the blood, like he told you. He freed. People remember he whooped everybody. Everybody remember he turned over the money changers. But though nobody mentioned the part that he freed the animals. And listen, the whole time the Messiah walked the planet, name one time that he went to the temple and officiate anything by blood. Thanksgiving, free will. No, he ain't do sin. That man never went into the temple and offered no sacrifices of no animals on no level during his whole tenure here. And with that, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go ahead and get a mic back. Hey, brothers, I appreciate y'all let my brother have a piece of platform, you know, to get this out. And look, may the Most High get the glory in all this. You hear me?
Yes, sir. Salute to you, big homie. You already know what time it is. I'm gonna call you as soon as I get up off here. Right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm up, man. The boy blew my back out the dead work, boy.
Keep you in our prayers, big homie. You already know.
Please do, boy. Hey, boy, it's hard to carry the big homie around. Boy.
Yeah, boy. Well, we gotta get a pallet jack to get you around.
All right, man. Ain't saying on that part. Hey, man, love you, Don. Love you, Hilltop, man. Love y'all all in the chat, man. Bless up, man.
Bless up, Nick.
Bless up. Clip up.
All right, clip up.
Hey, man, y'all I see you. No, go ahead, bro.
No, I'm going to tell the chat. Y'all have any questions, put the questions in the chat for the brother. Go ahead, brother Don.
No, I just was going to bring up, I'm noticing one of your videos, you was talking about that Paul, before he went on the road to Damascus, actually put hands on James.
Yeah.
And tossed him.
Yeah, man. Yeah, boy. That's in that Nazarene Acts there, boy. He about killed him, man. And now certain histories say he actually killed him. See, what a lot of people, our people don't understand is there's a difference between history and literature. All right. Now, James, according to history, was stoned. Sound like Stephen. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of double writing going on. There's a lot of stuff going on. But yeah, I'm gonna show y'all how this man Saul tried to kill the Messiah's brother, man. Tried to kill him, threw him off the steps right before he was on his way to Damascus. I'm like, man,
that's crazy.
This something else, man. This dude is not playing. All right, James, the brother, Paul of Tarsus. All right, so anybody that got the Nazarene Acts, it's on page 53. It says tumult raised by Shaul.
Yeah, I got that book on my wish list. I'm about to grab that up.
Yeah, that deal go hard, bro. I'm gonna keep it real with you. So to give you a context, the high priest Caiaphas, who was the high priest during Yeshua's murder, by the time Yeshua was off the scene, James, of course, is leading the movement. But the Nazarenes outnumber the Pharisees at this moment. Even when you read like the beginning of Acts, remember one day was like 3,000 people, the next day was like 5,000. So, bro, that's 8,000 bodies. You know what I mean? Like, so in other words, our movement outnumbered the religious leaders who had the control of Jerusalem. That's why when Paul came back up to Jerusalem, who was in charge? You see what I'm saying? We were a minority then. Like we was straight, we had bodies, like 8,000 men and women. You see what I'm saying? So right here it says Talmud raised by Shaul. All right, so anyway, Caiaphas calls James and he was like, look, come explain to us how Yeshua is Mashiach. So he was like, so James show up and he was like, if we're gonna do it anyway, we got to go to the Torah, we got to go to the scriptures. So then James like, but you got to know how to use them scriptures. Other than that, it's gonna be a problem, right? So after he break everything down, everybody, the high priest, everybody like, hey man, I'm feeling that, right? In comes Paul. In comes Paul, right? Now, page right here, bro, page 53. It says, and when matters were at that point that they should come and be immersed, meaning they was about to come, join the brotherhood of the Messiah. They was going to get in that water, right? I'm talking about the high priest in them, based off how James was handling them scriptures. They was like, oh, they got to be true, right? Someone of our enemies entering the temple with a few men began to cry out and to say, what mean you, O men of Israel? Why are you so easily hurried on? Why are you led headlong by most miserable men who are deceived by Simon a magician? While he was thus speaking and adding more to the same effect, and while Yaakov, James, the bishop, was refuting him, shutting him down, right? He began to excite the people and to raise a tumult so that the people might not be able to hear what was said. See what Paul doing? He's starting to riot like, yeah, whatever. You understand? But James is refuting them. It says right here, therefore he began to drive all into confusion with shouting and to undo what had been arranged with much labor, and at the same time to reproach the priests and to enrage them with revelings and abuse, and like a madman to excite everyone to murder, saying, what do you? Why do you hesitate, O sluggish and inert? Why do we not lay hands upon them? This Paul. And pull all these fellows to pieces.
And Paul savage.
Yeah, he's straight savage. When he had said this, he first seasoned a strong brand from the altar. He took a firebrand off the altar. This that same Paul that cursed them, that said they need to be castrated. This that same Paul. And we want to act like he just magically changed his heart on the road to Damascus. Meanwhile, if anybody, whether they black or white, treated you like that, you forever gonna be suspect to him. Like, man, watch him. So he grabs a firebrand off the altar. Look at this. It says, when he had said this, he first seasoned a strong brand from the altar, set the example of smiting. Then others also seeing him were carried away with like readiness. Then ensued a tumult on either side of the beaten and the beaten. Much blood is shed. There is a confused flight in the midst of which that enemy, Paul, attacked James, Yaakov, and threw him head first from the top of the steps. And supposing him to be dead, he cared not to inflict further violence upon him. Wow.
Man, that was like some WWE, man.
And don't forget, Yaakov or James is Yeshua's biological brother. That's his brethren.
Right.
This man straight tried to kill this man. And then when he got his revelation, he don't even go check in with him. Like, hey, bro, please forgive me. I see now. He say, I ain't even go check in with them. Paul cursed them. Paul said they need to be castrated. Paul said whoever they are makes no difference to me. Paul dissed the long hair. Paul dissed the dietary law that was being taught. He dissed the whole thing. And guess what? Brought his own understanding of who he called Christ.
That's who the Christians follow. They follow Paul. They don't follow the Most High. They claim that they follow Jesus, but they don't follow him neither. They follow Paul.
No. A lot of our Israelite brothers do. A lot of our Israelite brothers do too, man.
You know them too.
Yeah,
them too.
Keep it solid, you dig? But just to keep it simple, what make most sense to the audience? All right, those that knew Messiah, specifically his family. You understand? And you know somebody, boy, you took baths with him and grew up smelling his fart and his morning breath. You know that nigga. Like, you know him. So who know him better? His family and his students, or this Saul of Tarsus, related to the Herodians, who never met him, who was an op. Like, just on some common sense. You ain't even got to be the deepest street cat. Common sense gonna make everybody look at that cat like, hold on, man, everything he's saying ain't right and exact. And that's it. That don't mean you can't take certain things from him and learn. But when I read the Nazarene Acts, I found out all that hip stuff Paul be talking about, that you be like, yeah, bro, Paul was deep. He got it from the apostles. You know what I mean? So all good, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. Paul like a chameleon.
Bro, Paul told you that I will become this to gain them. I will do this to get the bro. He basically told you I will shift the paradigm to gain whatever I need to get everybody on my team.
I robbed other churches. He said it in Corinthians. I robbed other churches of wages to do you service.
So thou shalt not steal went right out the window, huh?
What is this dude on, man? That's what I'm saying. So, that's why we examined it once I seen the difference. The difference between what the apostles are teaching versus what Paul is teaching. Once I understood that, then I was able to, go back over what was being said. Then later on you get into like historical things and all that. You understand? But be able to go into the Bible and ask these questions and raise these questions and challenge brothers and sisters to what they believe. Because if we don't do it, somebody eventually gonna come around and be like, "Hey, I got a question about Paul right here. Is he talking about castrate? He cursing the brothers. He over here talking about, you understand, the apostles in them." Then he comparing Galatians 4. If we would have got to that, he compared the days and times and seasons that the Galatian church were being taught to observe by the leaders of the Jerusalem church, bro. He called that bondage too, and he compared it to paganism. Then he said they've been bewitched, witchcraft, and all that, man. So we use his words. You understand? And then from there, we can branch on out, man. It's real easy. You dig? It's real easy.
Con. Any more questions? Any questions out in the live? Any questions from you, brother Don Yehuda? I think I had something, but I forgot it though.
It's a lot to come with it, bro. Look, we can examine it all, bro. We can examine the stories in the gospel about the fish. One day we can come on and do a topic about that, because you got fish. You got fish that was eaten at the Sea of Galilee after resurrection, and then another story say they was in Jerusalem. We can go over that. We can go over, was they eating raw fish or sushi in the desert? Sushi and biscuit. Was that the miracle? We can go over that. You understand? We can go over these things, man. One thing we're not afraid to do is have the conversation. Let's have the conversation, man. That's what Israel need to do. You understand?
Controversial and deep conversations, man. Yeah. A lot of people scared of it, man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people scared of it, man. But iron sharpens iron, man. I mean, ain't no way we get to the bottom of the truth unless we start talking about it.
Hey, right out. I'm with you. That's what I be on. Let's rap. But then you start seeing certain people. It's just the spirits that they've been in agreement with for so long. Won't allow them just to have a convo, brother. Let's just have a conversation. That's it. I mean, what's the worst thing you're gonna find out? You was doing something wrong, so you can correct yourself.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
people don't want to let them strong
over down in humility, we still profess and worship the Most High. You understand? We follow the teachings of Messiah. But we ready to have these conversations with our people. You understand? Because certain men run their mouth. Oh, man, y'all blasphemous. Y'all teaching against this. And, bro, all we got to do is have a conversation.
That's it.
Hey, look. Hey, now, Mally right here on the chat, Hilltop and Don, man. Look, bro, look. One thing why I can deal with a brother, any of my brothers, is that we can come to a place and say, you know what, man, I was wrong on that. That's the integrity of a real man. Because no man got all the knowledge. No man knows all the answers. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I can listen to a Kaz, you know, I can listen to a Selah, or I can listen to IUIC or ISUPK. They don't bother me. One of the issues that our old assembly had when they tried to do with me and Mally, I call it lording over brothers, telling us who we can and can't be cool with.
Right.
Talking about who you can't talk to and fellowship with. That was the reason of our split. You see what I'm saying? But then you can fellowship with every assembly when it comes down to the award show so you can get your money. See, man, look, I ain't on that, bro. And I'm way too grown. You know what I'm talking about? To let somebody tell me who I can and can't be cool with.
Man, that don't even sound right.
Hey, bro.
It definitely don't. And you know what, man? That a lot of these congregations and camps, they got that thing where they be trying to lord over people, man. Unfortunately. And it take a minute for brothers and sisters to really get their eyes open and see what's going on and then move on, because brothers and sisters that really want to seek out truth and knowledge, they kind of don't really ask the questions because they don't want to get looked at side-eye. And then you have the brothers and sisters that's telling you, oh, you can't hang with them. Like that happened to me in my congregation. That's why I'm not even there, because it was a pretty much of trying to control the dynamic of what I'm doing.
Right.
And me and Don Yahuwah come out the same, you know, so-called camp, different cities. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Me, the brother Don Yahuwah, and the other brothers are dark with an S. You know,
Now,
and you know, we'll put it out there. IUIC, we'll put it out there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We'll put it out there. You know, because they pretty much teach, and they're not the only ones teach. Don't stay away. Don't bring all that doodle up in here. You know what I'm saying? For the congregation, don't bring that doodle up in here. You know, stay away from. You know, we don't want y'all congregating on the people because we don't want you coming up here asking questions. You can't watch it. Your congregation watch it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that should be a sign to run. You know, that's a sign to run, though. Like, what you mean? I can't rap with my family? Ain't we all family? We should be able to talk about these things, man. And if you confident and sure on what you believe, bro, it's nothing to have a conversation, man. You understand? And one I learned it about our people. A lot of our people are children mentally. You understand? Like, you can't sit down and just listen to a brother that's bringing out, or a sister that's bringing out something that's very detrimental, something that's very important to your well-being. And you don't want to listen because you got these so-called prejudices. You understand? No, man, we got to grow and evolve in this thing, man. And that's the thing. The generation before us, they don't talk with each other. The camp leaders don't talk with each other. The congregation leaders. So how are we ever supposed to get on one accord as a quote unquote people? But the elders don't even rap with each other.
Right.
Look, in Israel or out of Israel, in the land or out the land, the elders don't even jive and rock with each other. So it's on us, y'all. It's on us. You understand? It ain't nothing wrong to rap and get some understanding, and you know what I'm saying? Because trip off this. You can tell me or teach me something. I'll be like, you know what? I ain't never tripped off that. See, I ain't never had that problem admitting, like, hey, you know what? We looked at that wrong. I was saying it like this because of this, but look at it now. You understand? And you'd be surprised, man. For 1 second, they'll be screaming, Hosanna in the highest. The next second is crucified. You understand? I've seen a lot of demons surface over this past 15, 16 months. Brothers that you would think is brothers turn enemies. You understand? Threatening your life and all that. But you know, hey, we understand what that's about. You understand? But we're going to keep teaching and bringing it out. But this walk here ain't for the faint of heart. You got to have thick skin, boy, because your worst times, some of your worst and darkest moments ever are going to be when you conscious. It's that life you really want, boy. See, we get conscious and think it's all, you know, tiptoeing through the tulips and everything just so swell. No. Boy, the war turned up when you get conscious, boy. What you mean? You gonna go through some of the darkest periods in your life in what you call truth. But keep going. Keep going. Never settle. You understand? because the creator and his greatness and his vastness, bro, can't even be comprehended, man. You dig? So for any brother and sister that want to rap and chop it up, man, I'm with that. Even if we disagree, it's all good, man. Believe that. I'm just your brother. I'm not no 50 million shield, nothing on none of that. I'm just your brother. Right. You dig? Go through the same stuff you go through. You understand? You ain't got to tiptoe through no tulips around me, right? You may hear me say, "Hey, keep it down." All my babies upstairs. What you mean? Sit down. You dig? Look, I'm a man just like you, brothers. Go through the same things we all go through, but we getting better daily, man. And that's what that's about. You understand?
Oh.
And look, it's an honor to be inside.
I'm always down for the conversation, man. Believe that, know that. Go ahead, Nick.
I'm just saying it's an honor to be inside with brothers, man. You know what I'm talking about? Brothers that's free from the yoke of bondage or what I call indoctrination. You feel me? You know, just and then I want to go back and plant based off that Paul thing. You knows how we say it, plant based. Some people say piggyback. Some people say lamb back. You know, I'm going back to Genesis 1:29.
Yeah, I'm taking that, bro. I'm taking that.
Yeah.
So check it out. You know what I'm saying? So like even with Paul, right? And I want to get this for our people who have understand, because one thing about us in honor and humility, we try to study our flank to see which way somebody coming in. So we got the answers dealing with that. So how did Paul say this and Paul say that? Well, we know because his father, right, or whatever, he's dealing with that Herodian side of his family, right? But then his mother being, you know what I'm saying, from Israel or Benjamin or whatever, he can claim that. Just like we can go in here and deal with Mary and Joseph, right, by their marriage, how their bloodline is thick and solid through Hamashiach, whether you believe in a virgin birth or not. You see what I'm saying? Because according to the law, that if you marry within your own tribe, then the woman can pass the heritage. You feel me? So we have to understand the totality of things, but not be fooled. Because listen, when somebody tell you who they are, pay attention. They telling you the truth. How? And listen, I done heard people say that Paul has better understanding and revelation of Hamashiach than the people that walked with him. Boy, that blows my mind.
Hey, Nick, that's what's taught though. That's the results of it. That's that evangelical Christian sanity, bro. They
apologetics.
You actually believe. That's like saying you know Nehemiah better than his son, JB.
Junior. You know Nehemiah better than his wives or whatever. That shit's crazy. And my children don't know me like your women know you. You catch what I'm saying?
Right.
So these brothers got the gifts of the Holy Spirit. And then even like when Matt was talking about the fish thing, bro, I would love to come and travel with y'all or just be, hey, look, man, look, I mess with my brothers. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody speak no hate. And no two Israelites bleed the same at 100 anyway. You know what I'm saying? But we can have an open conversation. And look, I still hang with my brothers from the old assembly or all around. We got brothers that come through the gate. We fellowship. We go out to eat. They eat their meat. I can't say, nigga, eat at the other table. I don't mess with you. Bro, I ain't like that, bro. I understand how the Most High gave me time to get to where I'm at. You feel what I'm talking about? So you have to love your brother the same way, man. We got to let that hate go in Israel, bro. We got to let that hate go. We men, we going to chop doctrine all day. We going to do that. You know what I'm saying? But the only thing that is doing is either making us better, because my job ain't trying to pull you down. If you think me telling you not to eat meat is pulling you down, we got something else we dealing with. You get what I'm saying? If I'm telling you that the Most High don't need no sacrifice, that we got multiple versions in the Bible where atonement and forgiveness was given without the killing of a bull or a lamb, then how you deal with that? You feel me? He gave you a day of atonement. It's just a lot, bro. I'm at a place where I ain't gonna hate my brother. Especially, listen, bro, your brother ain't never sinned against me just because you don't believe it's me. Half of y'all ain't either as tall or as big, or ain't as tall or as big, and half of us ain't as smart. And like we talked about earlier, in the old world, academia was given to those of high class. Everybody didn't have a Bible in their house or Torah scrolls in their crib. You feel what I'm talking about? So we went to the temple to get this knowledge. So we was at the mercy of what's being taught to us. So in this day and time and age, it's a shame that we still willfully ignorant. But I don't call it shameful to a fact where I can't deal, because if we gonna sit, we gonna talk, and that's what bro's supposed to do. So again, my hats is off to you, Hilltop, my brother Don. I definitely subscribe, man. Salute to y'all soldiers. You know what I'm saying? Hey, whenever you need your brother, you ever in St. Louis, hey, you got a brother right here. You hear me?
That's right. That's right.
Come
Family.
on.
That's what we talking about. We establishing family around this deal, baby.
Final thoughts, brother
Yes,
Malachi
yes.
MACABEE.
Hey, man, peace, love, light, healing, and balance to all you brothers and sisters. Shout out to all the haters, jaw jackers, and naysayers. We love y'all, too. I always was told by one of the wisest women I ever known, you ain't doing something right if you ain't got haters. You understand? But one thing we about y'all is sincerity. All right? Me as your brother, I can't unsee something. If I see we going the wrong way, I'm getting off at the next exit and busting the ugly and getting back on that freeway. I'm not gonna act like we've been missed 10 exits, and you know what I mean, playing twiddle my thumbs like I ain't know we've been lost 10 miles, boy. You ain't know that? No. So once I see something, bro, look, you know we gotta get back on the right path, and that's it. I don't believe I'm better than any brother or sister just because I don't chew on animal sandwiches no more. That I don't mean I'm better than you. You understand? We just here to show you that okay, if you're going by the laws of flesh, then you know there's also laws concerning how you prepare that animal. You understand? And Israel is not dealing with that. When Israel says they're dealing with the dietary laws of Leviticus 11 and Deuteronomy 14, what they are not dealing with is the process, the preparation, the slaughtering of it. There's a process it must go through before it's considered offered right. You understand? And if it wasn't so, then James, after the Messiah died, would have never told Paul in Jerusalem to teach to abstain from meats offered, sacrificed, offered to idols, meaning, guess what? That's still on the table. Even if you believe in Messiah, that's still on the table. You're still not supposed to be dealing with food, meats, flesh, offered or sacrificed to idols. That's after Messiah had made his transition. That's when his brother is the chief bishop over the Jerusalem assembly. And that's what Paul was told to teach while he was out amongst the nations. Instead, he taught, eat whatever sold at the meat market and stop asking me questions, boy. You can eat whatever you want to eat. Just stop asking questions. You know what I mean? So you just got to ask yourself, is he teaching what he was commanded or is he doing his own thing? And today, brothers do their own thing. So if he's doing his own thing, that's just what it is. But don't deceive yourself into believing that that's what the Messiah ordained and set up. You understand? Paul just doing his own thing. That's it. He don't agree with what the disciples is doing. That's it. Okay. So much love, y'all. Thank you for having us on. May the mercy and the peace and the love of our Creator surpass all understanding with you, brothers, and permeate every square inch of your heart, mind, body, and spirit, my brothers, in the name of the great Spirit. All praises.
Come on. Final thought, brother Don Yehuda.
Hey man, another stellar episode tonight, man. I swear. Hey, I'm honored though, man, because a lot of the brothers and the sisters that come on, I've been a avid pupil listening to the information that they brought out and bring out constantly, man. And it's like just to be able to sit on this panel and converse with brothers and sisters and just pick their brain and just get the inside scoop on everything, man. Listen, this is like a fat kid in a candy store for me, bro. I mean, I really enjoy it. I'm honored for the brother to come on tonight, him and Nehemiah, you know what I'm saying? And to be honest, it sounded like he gave us a lot of information, but like he said, yo, this ain't half of what he really be breaking down, though. Yeah. Like, I sat and watched some of his videos. Well, I watched a lot of his videos. I'm telling you, man, like, he got series upon series of videos breaking down these topics. So definitely anybody that's watching, go tune into the brother channel, Honor and Humility STL. Definitely go tune in, subscribe, like. Also, we got another episode of the Scoring Black Man podcast this Saturday at 12 p.m. The topic is, why are African Americans so overweight and out of shape and refuse to fix it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Malachi, we need you over, man. Come on, Saturday morning, brother.
Yeah.
It's gonna be your warm up. It's gonna be your warm up until your next show on the dietary law.
Hey man,
So, yeah.
I gotta I'm supposed to, matter of fact, y'all make sure y'all keep me in your prayers. I'm going I'm taking the wife to Chicago this weekend. You know what I mean? It's a soul.
Safe travel.
We about to celebrate life. So it's just me and her about to escape up out of here Friday. Mom, you hit that highway, you dig? So
yeah,
I might not be able to come on this Saturday, brother, but you know what I mean?
man, enjoy yourself.
Next Saturday, whatever. Whatever, brother. Me and my going somewhere, man.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he about to bring another seed into the world.
Get out my head, dog. Get out my head. He broke. Hey, boy, get out my head. I was laughing at that boy.
Hey, but Nehemiah got about 50 grandbabies. He over here talking.
Hey, what on, bro? We ain't talking about me right now.
Yeah. But much love, y'all, man. But yeah, I would love, bro. You know, I would love to come on the show and chop it up. I may have 30 minutes to an hour or so. Come on, I'm gonna take my computer with me. You know what I mean? And then we can discuss them things because that's something that need to be discussed. You dig?
God.
We know a sister, a 75-year-old woman that be in the chat. Her name Ima Robbie Dobson. You dig? She reversed her diabetes, bro. It's at 75. Woo. Last summer, she stopped eating the flesh when she ran into our videos and just ate watermelon and like grapes and all that, bro, for like 60 days, bro. Her pancreas, and we talking about type 1 diabetes. Her pancreas started yielding the proper amount of insulin, and she is no longer a diabetic, a type 1 diabetic.
All praises. All praises.
You know what I'm saying? Just by simply picking up the medicine foods of the creator. So, yeah, that'll be powerful to tune in, you dig, on Saturday if I got time, brother, no doubt.
Yes, sir. Yeah, brother Nehemiah, you more than welcome. Anybody in the chat, y'all more than welcome to come chime in. And Zadar, I just want to give one more plug and I'm done for the night.
Go ahead.
Anybody dealing with any health issues, make sure you go to my brother Salah's page, bittersweetherbals.com. I already ordered mine. I arrived today. It was prompt. So definitely support the brother. Get your teas, get your herbs, heal the body, rejuvenate the body. Go look out for the brother Salah Shalom over at bittersweetherbals.com.
Salute.
Like I said, we got brother upcoming shows. We got brother Malachi MACABEE coming back with Dietary Law show. We got Sister Queen Nefertali. She's in the chat. We got her coming on with a couple of controversial deep biblical breakdowns. It could be on the white man being Canaanite. It could be on the book of Enoch, Joshua Jubilees, the Atlantis. Right. Who knows?
Go hard.
We got we got brother Kuzma Cal. We got brother Kuzma Cal coming on. We're gonna try to get brother K Judah, big brother K Judah from COC, FOPE, and we got brother Shalom coming back with some more good topics, man. Hey, y'all, for all the good scholars, if you're a scholar in Hebrew, in the Hebrew Israelite community, if you're really a scholar and you have a controversial and deep biblical breakdown, get with me and brother Daniel Huda, or get one of the other brothers and sisters that come on the platform. And we're gonna set you up, man. You gotta bring the pain like Salah and brother Malachi MACABEE and brother Yisrael. They bring the pain. So you gotta bring the pain. And the good brother Ben Dawid by there too, man. Hold your head up, man. We know you're behind them bars, man, but you're gonna be out pretty soon. We got brothers and sisters that behind the bars is bringing this pain to you. So Don't forget it. Controversial and deep biblical breakdown series. Malachi MACABEE, the Apostle Paul writings. On trial, he gave it to you today. He brought the pain. Smash that subscribe button. Smash that like button. And brothers and sisters, man, I want to tell y'all all peace, hair grease, and much love. And shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.